This video was created during the 2023 WGA and SAG strikes. Without the labor of the writers and actors currently on strike, Ahsoka wouldn't exist. Learn more about the strike at the link in the description.
So we actually, I didn't have a chance to change that recording, but as of yesterday, it's just a SAG strike now. So we're halfway there. Congratulations to the WGA. But
Good job, everyone.
Welcome to the show between shows, our Ahsoka after show. We're going to talk about part 7 today, Dreams and Madness. And I just want to dive into it. So we'll go ahead and bring in our guest for this week. Please welcome Corey's Datapad. What's up, Corey?
Hey, thanks for having me. Not much is up. New galaxies, that's cool.
That's pretty neat, yeah. Real quick, I wanted to go ahead and bring up a super chat from our friend / troll that I saw people
our troll friend
questioning. Templin Institute says, yeah, I got a question. What happened to this channel's standards? I also don't like that I have to pay $5 just so I have enough characters to write. Okay, Mark, our standards have clearly gotten much higher since we had you on, and now Corey's here. So that's what happened to our standards. But I saw
some people just don't like progress, and it's time for Mark to just kind of move on.
I think so. That's going to be rough for him. But I saw lots of people in the chat being like, "Who's this person? Is he a troll?" And Mollie was like, "Yes, he is, but also he is a friend."
I don't know how to answer that.
Is he a troll or a friend? The answer is yes.
Yes.
But let's get into Ahsoka. Corey, how have you been feeling about the series as a whole so far?
It's been a lot of fun. I think it's at least in my top 2 of Star Wars series. Like I like it and Andor for different reasons, but I think what each of them did, they've both done really well. And it seems like just from my non-Star Wars fan friends that they've kind of felt similarly. Even some that couldn't get into Andor or even The Mandalorian, they enjoy a lot of the action, and I'm kind of feeling the same way with Ahsoka. It's a decent, like it's a good story, solid, nothing too complicated, but a lot of fun action that it supports. So I'm enjoying it.
I like that you bring Andor up with it and talk about how different they are, but that they're both successful. I saw someone talking about how it feels like the polar opposite of Andor, and I'm like, yeah, I think I agree. It's going real hard into the fantasy and the mythology, and I love that Star Wars can do both of those things.
This kind of felt like a lot of what the last few years, especially Dave Filoni's projects, have done, is the mythology side of it, or
yeah,
like the kind of harder, or not harder fantasy, but the fantasy side of it.
How did you feel about part 7 specifically?
It's not one of my favorite episodes. I think like everything it did was fine, but I kind of felt like I left the episode knowing exactly what I knew going into it. Like there are a few reveals of some character information, but nothing that we couldn't have kind of guessed going in. Like Shin wants somewhere to belong, and it seems like the Empire might be what she's leaning towards for that. I think we got enough hints of that in the prior episode, even if it was kind of confirmed by Baylan here. And with Thrawn, we get some references to his relationship with Anakin. But if you kind of went into the prior episodes knowing the information he was going to get from that background check that Morgan was doing, then you're not really getting any new information. So I enjoyed all of it, but I still do kind of feel like we left off in a similar position to where we started.
It's interesting to
That's
have
fair to say.
Yeah, there are these moments where they have to play catch up with the people who haven't read books or watched Rebels or anything like that. I think well, actually, Mollie, what were your thoughts on part 7? Because I know yours are kind of different from Corey's.
Yeah, I feel like something in this episode clicked for me. The show has kind of been very predictable so far. Still has been, like you said, we didn't really learn many new things in this one, but it just, everything was like firing on all cylinders for me in this one. Like Ezra's character work is pretty spot on for me. Ahsoka is finally acting more like herself. And I don't know, like seeing Thrawn finally get to actually someone, and do his thing. I just really, really liked this one. And for me, this might have been my favorite one so far, which is nice because it proves that this is going to be a slow burn for me, because I was kind of like, I still don't really know how I feel about it. It's got some cool stuff in it, but didn't really hit until this episode. And it just got me really excited for the finale.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't want to come across like I'm saying nothing happened, because clearly like the reunions and everything, those were all really fun. But it's more that the stuff that happened, in my opinion at least, felt like the stuff that we knew was going to happen, whereas any questions we had going in were kind of still questions coming out.
I think I agree that the series has gone largely the way that I thought that it would. I haven't been super surprised by anything. It's been just nice to see all those things play out still. I think episode 8 probably surprised me, but Mollie, what you talked about it being a slow burn, I remember kind of feeling similar after the first 3 episodes as I did after the first 3 of Andor, where I was like, this is different and not what I was totally expecting. And just the longer I sat with it, the more and more I liked it. And I think I agree that episode 7 here wasn't my favorite of the bunch, but I realized as we were watching it last night, just I could feel my heart pounding. I was totally invested and engaged, and I was like, oh, I'm like way more into this than I was during the premiere. And I'm just all in on the story, whatever they're going to tell us in the last week here.
Yeah, this one made me really excited for the possibility of Shin joining the good guys, because up until now, or I guess before this episode, I was kind of like really on the fence of whether or not that was going to work out for her. But this one pushed me over the edge where I was like, all right, now I actively want her to like go with them.
Did you guys get the sense? Sorry.
I was going to throw it back to you, Corey, because I like what you said about Shin wanting somewhere to belong. And last episode, it seemed pretty apparent that she doesn't have a set identity. She doesn't know who she is, because Balin's talking about Boken Jedi, and she's like, oh, that's what I am. And he's like, no. It's like he didn't tell her anything solid of like what he wants her to be or give her any real direction. But I think that outside of Balin, you're right. She doesn't feel like she belongs anywhere. She wants to ally with Thrawn and get some power in the Empire, but I think she could eventually find that belonging with the Ghost crew.
Did you guys get the sense that maybe Balin is expecting that as well from his scene with her? Because it seems like last episode he was saying, no, I trained you to be something more. And he was disappointed that she wouldn't realize her potential there. But now, well, he's disappointed that she's not going to come with him. It seemed like he was more disappointed in the idea that she saw herself as part of Thrawn's empire, when I think he understands that they're disposable to him, but she doesn't seem to. And I don't think he thinks that Ahsoka was going to kill her when he let Ahsoka run back to Sabine and Ezra. So I kind of got a soft endorsement from him on that front, but I might just be reading too much into things.
It could be. If that is how he feels, it's like, well, yeah, duh, you're not giving her any information. And she's just like, what is going on? What are we doing here? Poor girl.
Yeah, like she seems like she's just as much in the dark as we are of like, what do you want, Balin? Why are we here? What are you after? And I was surprised by how nicely he let her go, and where he's just like, I can tell you're not into whatever I'm doing, and you want to be a part of the Empire and you want a place there. So like, go on and do that. Here's some parting words of wisdom. They still might run into some conflict next week now that she has been kind of abandoned by the Empire, and she might go running back to him. But I love Balin. Everything about him is so like, I don't expect that to be what he's going to say next, and it's always interesting.
I was so convinced that Balin was going to be kind of the villain that we wrap up in this series, because it just felt like going to find Thrawn and then having him out of the way at the end of it would have been too much. But now I'm almost feeling like we're going to be left off in a point where we don't still know what Balin was doing, and we're heading towards some other story with him that we're now less likely to have told in the way that was originally hoped for.
That would drive me nuts if we don't get to figure out what he wants. Like I am with you, and I think I'm still of that mind that his story will wrap up within this season. Because Thrawn, I still assume, is going to be the big bad. So Balin will be the mini boss for Ahsoka to face here.
What if it's Morgan instead, though?
It could be. I don't know.
Because Balin's running away now, and I don't see like Ahsoka, Ezra, and Sabine being like, okay, what's the most important thing to do right now? Let's find the guy that you just ran away from and probably still can't kill.
Well, I wonder if whatever he's doing is going to tie into how they get home.
Mm-hmm.
If Thrawn heads off with the Chimera and the Night Sisters and the stuff from the catacombs, then they might have to go seek out Balin. And then, I wonder if whatever power he's after winds up Indiana Jonesing him, where like, oh, it's too much power and now I'm dead. Or if it is some mystical way to get home and he sacrifices what he wants to let them go back, because he keeps surprising me. So maybe he will find some level of redemption.
Yeah, it is kind of, I don't know. It does feel like maybe he's thinking that there is another way off or to somewhere else other than back through the hyperspace ring with Thrawn and them, or else he'd be, I assume, trying to get back there before they left without him to strand him there. So I don't know what he's looking for. We discussed the world between worlds, which could mean, because he keeps saying, I want to get rid of the conflict. I want to have a new beginning. So I don't know how he thinks the world between worlds works, but if he thinks he can just like go back in time somehow with that could be an option. I don't know.
I'll go ahead and bring up this question because it's relevant. We're talking about it, but I'm the Stein. Thank you. Do you think that the Night Sisters learned their magic from Abeloth, and that's who Balin is looking for? Seen a lot of Abeloth talk in the past couple weeks. Thoughts?
You brought this up just because of what I said earlier. I was like, where are people getting Abeloth from all this? But
I think it's just something that Balin senses is immensely powerful, and Abeloth was one of the most powerful beings from Legends. So I think people are just taking what they know, what they're familiar with from Legends, and being like, maybe it's here too.
There is the connection with like Ahsoka being so tied to the daughter, and with Morai around, which really hasn't come up since seeing the little owl feathers that Sabine now has on her helmet. But if they do try to tie it into the ones, like having some kind of Abeloth adaptation is, I guess, a possibility. But it's also, if I'm making a Legends pullover bingo card, I don't know if Abeloth is going to be one of the squares for me at all. So I'd still be surprised by it.
I would also be surprised. And part of it is like this completely out of universe thing. But in when Solo came out, I was talking about like Legends connections and stuff. And I was like, the Summa Verminoth, it's like this big scary creature in the maw. And I was like, maybe it's like a nod to Abeloth. And Matt Martin tweeted back at me and was like, Abeloth with 3 question marks or something. So I was like, I don't think they're going to go that direction.
There's just so many like random things that you wouldn't expect they'd bring in that sometimes ends up making it. So it still really surprised me. I don't know. I don't see that happening.
Well, I'm seeing some people in chat say that it could have something to do with the Night Sisters and like their magic, because he did say like this was once what did he say? The Witch Kingdom.
The Witch Kingdom of the Dathomiri, yeah.
Of the Dathomiri. He didn't say Night Sisters specifically,
Agmar.
But yeah. The Witch King. He's looking for the Witch King of Agmar.
He found Minas Tirith, so I don't know.
There's been
Minas Tirith,
endless
hobbits,
amounts.
wargs.
Yeah, there's endless amounts of Lord of the Rings connections. I realized in my second rewatch today that Ahsoka's little slide out of the ship was a total Legolas move. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, he he seems to have all this knowledge from stories and fairy tales that they told at the Jedi Temple that none of us know about. So he'll probably just pull something out of his ass like last minute, and we'll be like, "Wow, cool."
Yeah, Abeloth, I feel like that's whatever this is that he's after. I think we're gonna learn about it, and it will probably be resolved in the same episode. So Abeloth feels like, I guess it could be something that they introduce and then they escape, and they're like, "Wow, glad we don't have to deal with that." But it's always like a floating danger out there.
The universe-ending chaos is really it's a 60-minute arc. That's a monster of the week.
Yeah.
But it could be something that comes back later.
We also, earlier in the season, were talking a lot about what this new galaxy was going to be like, and someone was asking if it had its own wellspring of life or something similar to it. So he could be looking for something like that on this planet.
Some big mystical nexus of the Force.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like there's so many things that have been brought up that just kind of feel like, wouldn't you have one of those at home as well? Like what is it about this place? What does this place have that you can't find in the known galaxy? And it's got to be something kind of weird, doesn't it?
Yeah. And this planet hasn't been like that weird compared to anything else.
Yeah, Shin thinks it's kind of boring.
Yeah.
You go to a different galaxy and the first thing is, okay, witches and wastelands, we're good.
She's like, I'm sick of this.
Ooh, we did get a juicy little Zepho Easter egg in the last episode. So Patrick Pauly asks, what are the chances he's seeking some Zephonian power source or weapon?
That would definitely be something that I think could tie into the fairy tales and myths like, Cordova was researching. So maybe.
That would be wild if in the very last episode they brought up the Zepho and everybody was like, who?
I would lose my mind if he gets to some little temple and then he just walks in and there's a Zepho there. I'd be like, what the hell? I'd love it.
That's kind of why I feel like that kind of thing wouldn't happen, because so many people would be like, okay, what is this? It has to be something that's important, but also important in a way you can summarize in like 30 seconds. Because like they seem really happy to throw all the Zepho and Jedi Fallen Order Easter eggs in the background, but making that go from background to foreground feels like something that would need a bit more setup. But at the same time, throwing in something entirely new would be just kind of the same jump. So I don't know.
I will say I've been surprised with how much this series seems to be leaning more towards the diehard fans, and they haven't done as much exposition on pre-existing characters. They tell you enough of like Jason Syndulla's father was named Kanan and he was a Jedi in hiding, and then
Carson did not care.
Okay.
Carson's like, okay, cool.
One of my favorite moments of the season.
Don't care, didn't ask, walk away.
I take it more as like he's taking in so much information. He's like, okay, yeah, add it to the pile.
Yeah.
But
yeah, the opposite reaction of Shiono saying like, okay, you expect us to believe that this Jedi we knew you were with was suddenly involved.
Oh yeah, we can talk about Hamato Ziono, because I was like, dude, have you never set foot off of Hosnian Prime? Maybe he hasn't, but he's like Jedi and fake Jedi and space whales that we historically know exist. Like, all of this stuff is easily confirmed.
The scary, creepy guy with lightning coming out of his hands used to run the galaxy with his friend, the large black metal man. So why is all of this suddenly like
those rumors have never been confirmed?
Yeah.
Mollie. That's conspiracy theory.
I've never seen it. I mean, like, I think that's probably the answer, is that he's just a sheltered little rich boy that never got out of the core worlds, and so he never has met a Jedi. Maybe he never has seen space whales, and maybe all this stuff is weirder than we think.
He gives me big Imperial vibes just because of how confident he is about being right, and like how they're not in any danger. What a jerk.
Do you think like the way that Ezra got rid of Thrawn is commonly known among anyone, or is that too classified for him to know that, like, if Thrawn was coming back, these whales that they're talking about probably would be involved in some way?
That's true.
I would like to think that people know. I mean, writer Azadi gave a whole speech about Ezra's sacrifice and stuff. He didn't mention the whales, but like people saw it.
Yeah, the Lothal, like, Ryder was there though. Compared to, was it just like, oh, they killed Thrawn, undisclosed means and methods that's just filed away in the Senate archives at some point, and no one felt the need to fill in the New Republic, because that wasn't even really a sanctioned missions for the Rebel at that point.
Yeah, true. I could see it being something where, you know, you hear that space whales are involved and you're like, well, that's odd. Like, that's, I don't believe that, but sure, they got rid of Thrawn. So
They're
it is a wild story.
That's all that matters.
And I needed to look up the actor, but Nelson Lee is crushing it in this role. Everyone actively hates him, which means he's doing a great job.
Him and Perrin would be best buds.
Well, if you're going to bring that up,
They probably are.
I'll bring this up from leftist Hominid. Thank you. Who's the bigger douchebag? Is it Hamato Ziono or Perrin?
I still think it's Perrin, only because we've seen him be super douchey more often in Andor than so far with this guy. But
I might lean towards Ziono just because Perrin is terrible in his apathy. I think Hamato Ziono probably is actively bad.
What if Ziono is cool in his personal life and is just a jerk at work? But Perrin is just a jerk to everyone all the time.
He's just terrible all the time.
Yeah.
I think based on what little we saw of him in Star Wars Resistance, Hamato Ziono is not a cool dude.
Mm.
I mean, with Perrin, it seems like if Ziono is like forced to confront the fact that Thrawn is back, it seems like he'd at least have to say, okay, you're right. Maybe I'll agree to do something about that, unless someone wants to pay me a lot of money right now to not. But with Perrin, he just doesn't seem to care. Like, he knows the things that are a problem are happening, and as long as he can still get a drink, he's fine. So I think that's maybe worse.
Yeah.
But see, I think Ziono is probably actively working with the Empire or the First Order, whichever.
Like, Perrin knows he's setting his own daughter up with maybe not the best people for not the best reasons. That seems pretty low.
I'm just suspicious of the fact that Hamato Ziono, the senator of Hosnian Prime, wasn't there when it blew up. Like, come on. The rest of the Senate died, but you didn't. That's sus, dude.
I mean, at a certain point, like, we're really talking about marginal differences in douchebaggery.
It's a razor thin difference.
None of this should be construed as a defense of either character.
Yeah, we're really gonna fight.
Disavow.
Well, hold on now. Perrin is way better than Hamato Ziono. And along those same lines, Leftist asks if we could actually see Ziono communicating with Thrawn if he is a spy.
Or he could be communicating with Pelion, because we need a way to get Pelion into this. He needs to know that Thrawn's coming back, so he can
first
throw a
of all,
party.
Here's what I think is going to be maybe the post-credit scene of Ahsoka is a shot-for-shot remake of how Sabine and Ezra reunited, but it's Pelion and Thrawn.
Less hugging.
They hug.
Okay.
More hugging.
Pelion's going to be leaning up against the wall, and he's like, I knew I could count on you.
Then Rook just jumps out of the shadows and embraces them both.
Yeah, Rook is still alive.
I would be so pissed if Rook survived all of that from Rebels.
He was so hard to kill in Rebels.
But like, I really want to know how much of the Nogri story from Legends comes in, because it seems like Rook in canon is a lot more on board with Thrawn on like every level, and we're kind of just not going to go through the whole Thrawn is actually poisoning his world, because that was super not epic of him. But
yeah, I don't think they're going to bring the Nogri back. I think if they hadn't have killed Rook in season 4 of Rebels, then maybe they would do all that. But back then I was like, or back then I think they just wanted to have a fun connection.
Yeah.
And
I
pull
think
in Rook.
maybe just like having the Night Sisters there helping him and he's helping them. They've kind of taken the place of that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if they could be the culture that he kind of works with, but also tries to subjugate or something.
He's never really had all that much respect or care for Force users. Like any kind of Force users where it's more an uncontrollable variable for him that he just wants to push to the side. So he needs them right now, but it wouldn't be all that surprising if as soon as he's loaded them up onto the cargo hold and gotten them back to the galaxy, that he's not going to be comfortable having them with any amount of power near him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to go ahead, Molly.
I was just going to say, hopefully they just want to go back to Dathomir and not like totally join forces with him.
Even if that's all they do, I could see them being like, hey, there's no Jedi, there's no Sith. Someone's got to be the big force power in this galaxy. So they might raise all of their dead from the catacombs and be like, let's party.
If it means a live action Marin appearance, because this is kind of her thing to deal with, I'd be all on board for that, really.
That's how we bring Cal and Marin into the Filoni movie.
Just got to get everyone there.
I would love that. I don't see Filoni bringing them into his project.
There's been a shocking amount of Fallen Order and Survivor connections to not just Ahsoka. They've been pretty small in Ahsoka, but like Obi-Wan Kenobi having Nur and the Fortress Inquisitorius and the Path and so many things that connect back to the video games. It's
Bad Batch with like the presumably Zepho construct that they go into and Entombed.
And they go to Braca and run in with the Scrappers Guild. So I don't think it's outside of the realm of possibility.
Filoni's always been the one that is most inclined to pull stuff from other people's work too. And I don't think he gets like the narrative is always like, oh, he only plays with his own favorite creations. But if you look at how much he does bring in from other people, then it's probably more than a lot of other creators do.
I think he's happy to bring in stuff when it makes sense into his projects. I think he's more protective of like letting Ahsoka be used in something else. I don't think it works both ways.
No, for sure.
But to go back to Leftist question, because we like really veered off, I don't think we're going to see Hamato Ziono be an active and obvious spy, only because we do know that he survives all the way into the sequel trilogy era in Star Wars Resistance. So it would be kind of unsatisfying to have the knowledge of like he is actively working with Thrawn and he experiences no consequences for it ever.
And how many phone lines can Thrawn really have open with the Night Sisters? Because we know he's communicating with Pelion at least. We know he was communicating with Morgan. Just seems like any other information dispersal has to go through those two rather than always saying like, oh, I want to make just a quick checkup on my Senate spy.
You know, I hadn't thought of the idea that he could be communicating with Pelion through the Night Sisters. Like, I kind of thought it would go to Morgan and then to Pelion, but I think it's hilarious if he's getting dreams. And that's why he's being so cagey with the Shadow Council of like, what do you mean he's coming back? How do you know? And he's like, I just know.
I just know. Trust me. It's weird. You wouldn't believe me.
I've been having wacky dreams. I do hope that Pelion is... I don't know that he has to be in Ahsoka, but they cast a fairly well-known character actor to play him in just that one scene. So I think he's probably a character that will continue to pop up.
Mm-hmm. It seems like with Thrawn becoming the Thanos of this phase of the Star Wars cinematic universe, like Pelion has to be involved with that. And I really think that recasting Luke and Leia has to be on the table somewhere in there. Because as funny as it is to have 3PO be the one to deal with this rather than Leia, there's like half of it was great to see 3PO. The other half of it is like, this is kind of just avoiding taking that step right now. Because
Hmm.
A lot of people would probably feel offended if the protocol droid came. I mean, he clearly was, but having any kind of aid come in to do the smackdown there, Leia has to do something eventually herself.
Yeah, it is one of those things that would feel weird if our big three just never did anything in this conflict. I've been kind of thinking it's possible that we just know that they're there, kind of the same way we see the ghost flying around in Rogue One. We can see the Falcon, but we might not focus on them too much.
So it's just references to them being off screen. You see like 3PO and R2 coming around with them, and then like Ezra's just like, oh, Luke's over there hacking into the system. He'll be around in a minute. But we never get around to actually having him on screen.
But that would also feel just kind of frustrating.
I don't know if I want the Skywalkers in this. Like, we've seen enough of them. I know
Maybe
they're
not
like
in this, but
super,
like eventually something.
they are super involved in like what happens going forward, but
the amount
and
if
if they do show up, I do want them recast, like, enough with the deep fake stuff.
I'm with you there, but
sure.
The amount that they've been experimenting with it makes me think that's what they're gonna go for.
It just feels like with Luke, I don't love it, but at least like Mark Hamill is there and involved in some way, and he's okay with it. With the Rogue One stuff, I was okay with like the one shot of Leia and Tarkin, that kind of thing. But like, if they're doing any kind of significant roles, it just it feels wrong. And even though she's already played someone, I'd rather have like Billie Lourd come in and take over Leia's role. Like, she's the right age for it now as well, for the stories that'd be in this period. Like, there's so many better options than just trying to map Carrie Fisher's younger face onto someone else.
And I feel like they got so scared of it because of Solo not performing that great at the box office. But it's like that no one really was upset about Alden. I loved Alden.
I was going to bring this up because I also liked his performances, Han, and
I
would
had
love to see him
zero
again.
problem with the recast of Han Solo, and I thought that I was going to have difficulty with it. So I think that if they want to keep on using the legacy characters, it's like let's just recast them. We will get over it. It'll be weird for a minute, and then we can move on.
I think it is helpful that like with Solo, you also have those interviews of like Harrison Ford kind of being on board with it and saying, "Oh, you did a great job," all that. When like if we do it now, Mark Hamill can still very ably say like, "Oh, I'm so happy this person is doing it," might help the transition for some people. And there's also the chance that in the Rey movie or something, we do still have Mark Hamill as Luke in some kind of Force Ghost appearance. You can have both of those, but we don't need to lock so hard onto the nostalgia of like, it has to be these three, and then make it more awkward in the future if something were to happen.
Yeah,
agreed. That is way off into the future talk. I'll bring it back and we can show off our drawings, our favorite moments or things we want to talk about from the episode. And guest first, what have you prepared for us today?
Well, first, my girlfriend heard that I was doing this and became very interested in the idea. I don't know if it'll show up as well because she did pencil, but we've got the Force call out. Yeah, it's not showing up great. But
okay, I can see it.
We got Sabine and Ezra. We got Ahsoka.
Yeah, so. That's awesome.
I was that moment real quick when it cut from it's Ahsoka reaching out to Sabine, and then it's the Night Sisters trying to find Ahsoka. And when it cut to that Night Sisters face, like I had a visceral reaction to that because I was not expecting it. That creeped me out.
They're so cool.
Does that mean Ahsoka's going to become a Night Sister? Is that where we're going with this?
Clearly, yeah.
The Night Sister is actually a Jedi.
The Night Sisters
I hear what you guys are saying.
And after being wrong about the Night Troopers being reanimated zombies, I feel like I can just say whatever I want now, and it doesn't matter if I'm right or wrong because I was already super wrong.
Well, you're not alone. I was also on that train being like, oh, that would be really cool. And then they all died like normal idiots. And I was like, fine.
There's still
No
the chance that
green
it was
smoke.
just the ones that got shot that were alive. We're still in this.
Yeah, they're all just hurt, but not all the way dead.
Mm.
It can't be like a pressurized bag where like any slight puncture makes the smoke monster come out.
And they all
So
make
maybe
a fart
we're-
noise like a balloon being released.
The
That's
stormtrooper armor just
true.
floating around.
Like Marat got tossed around a little bit. He had to
Yeah.
get stabbed to really like.
Yeah, so we're not dead in the water here.
Well, I still think we're gonna get zombies. It's probably just not stormtrooper zombies, and that's okay.
Well, we got the Merrick zombie. Too much speculation is pegged on the whole like results-based thinking. There was prior established reasons to believe that the Night Sisters could do this. They looked all banged up. Even if we're wrong, we were right to think that. And I refuse to acknowledge any differently.
I'll go with you on that. What did you draw for your favorite moment?
So I don't have quite the same artistic skills, but I did the loading graphic.
Yeah.
I even did some. Oh, that's wrong finger. I did some translation of the Orabesh with the famous new bounty hunter cargo load.
Yep. That was a great tweet I saw you made. That you're like, I translated the Arabesh to cargo load. Clearly, it's some new bounty hunter.
But I just loved the idea that all this time in Peridia, this was all I could think watching the scene. They still have a graphic designer that's employed on the Chimera full time, like a strong union job. They couldn't get rid of him, and this is the only entertainment they've had for the last 10 years. So I appreciated the work that person put in.
They're
But,
like, finally, we're emptying the catacombs.
I did count all the casks, so this is canonically accurate information here. There were 54 of them. There were 10 that have not been loaded yet, and that does match the 81% that was advertised.
I was about to do the math.
So it's everything's on the up and up in this scene.
Okay, so
Perfection.
there's what, 80 total?
No, 54, and they had 44 loaded. I think that was what I came up
Oh,
with.
okay.
Because it's 3 rows of 18.
And it's going to
50,
take
yeah.
them 3 days to get.
There's probably some complicated like life support systems they have to get logged in. There's only like 10 people left on the ship because they sent 2 of their best squads out to die against Ezra and Sabine. It's a rough operation.
They have to convince the dead Night Sisters to get in those little things.
Yeah.
They've had 10 years. This is all they've been waiting for 10 years, and they have not prepped at all. It's like helping someone move and you go to the house, they haven't packed anything.
Yeah. That's
I
exactly
did really
that.
like that graphic, and I also really like his little the table, the war room table, because I was like, they've been playing board games on that thing for however long they've been out there.
It's just a great Catan projection most of the time.
Yeah.
They just have like 3 games, and they don't have Wi-Fi anymore, so they all have ads on them, and they can't buy the full version. They have to just stick with the demo version that they got for free.
Everyone's
Mollie,
like, we get it, Thrawn. You're good at games. We're
I
not
know.
playing with you anymore.
who wants to play Hollow Chess again? No.
It may seem that I've left open my wheat, but you have not considered that this has opened up your sheep.
Molly, what did you draw?
So one of my favorite moments was when Ahsoka shows up to help Sabine and Ezra. She kind of like slides in, and the look on Sabine and Ezra's face when they're standing behind her is so adorable because they're just like, oh, mom's here, gotta go. Like, she'll take care of the rest. So I drew that, and I improvised the little the Noti and the Howler watching safely from behind.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's already been making jokes about how Ezra looks like Jesus, but your version of Ezra, that's super Jesus.
Well, it's dry erase board, so
Your Howler looks great.
Yeah,
I'm getting much better at drawing Ahsoka and her robes and stuff, because this is like the 3rd time I've drawn her.
you really captured the concern on the Howler's face in that scene too.
He's like, can I come too? Are you gonna help us? Yeah.
I do love that he's just part of the gang now. Like there was a whole other army of Howlers, and he had no desire to go be with them. He's just gonna hang out with Sabine now.
Yeah.
Well, mine is somewhat related. I drew a picture of my favorite new little notie. It's the one that threw a frying pan at one of the raiders. So my frying pan didn't. It looks more like a magnifying glass, but I'm gonna name him Samwise because that just felt like a very Sam Hobbit thing to do. And
You gotta Star Wars it up a little though. What's the
like
Star
a space
Wars
frying pan.
There's an
No, what's
apostrophe between Sam and Wise.
Yeah.
It all checks out.
Gotcha. It's just Sam W apostrophe SE or something like that.
Yeah. There you go.
But I love those little noti. And I didn't realize how much I loved them until they were in mortal danger. And then I was like, if I have to see one of these die like Nanta the Ewok, I will be furious.
Mhm.
I was thinking about whether that would be more or less forgivable than the Ewoks when they're like doing the like poking with the electro staff at the base. I was like, okay, if someone's gonna die, it's gonna be now, and I'm just not okay with that.
Yeah. Them and the Howlers, I was like, they've made them too cute. Just that one Howler was really cute, so I was like, they can't kill them now.
They did a good job. They only killed living sentient beings.
Mhm. Oh, and
the nomads.
I loved the touch of them finding a Howler to match Shin's outfit. She had like a slightly lighter gray Howler than everybody else, and I was like, that's perfect.
That was all Captain Enoch's work. He's really on point with the coordination.
But he's still like, when he sends him out, he's like, die well.
Die well.
That's the only way he knows how to say goodbye. That reminds me, though, I saw a tweet, I think it was last night. Here we go. At Federica Q says, I know Balin and Shin are Nordic myth inspired and their howlers prove that, but in El Salvador, there's a folktale about two wolves called Los Cadejos. The black one hunts and kills travelers, while the white one is said to protect travelers. So maybe that could be, that's probably a big old stretch, but I like the idea that if we're looking for straws to grasp at for why Shin might eventually be good, there's a little mythological precedent.
If there are any mythological stories out there involving wolves, I have to assume Filoni knows about them and is keeping them in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gone through 3 of them now just from character names in Ahsoka, so
yeah.
And then he has to get them all wolf mounts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a little much.
But it was good. I don't really have many negatives to say about this episode at all. Like I think some of it visually, there were moments where the night troopers looked just like digital clone troopers, which I think they were in one shot or two. But the one that I chose to put in my review when I talked about it, someone messaged me and was like, one of my friends was an extra in that scene, and they definitely were real. And I was like, I don't know, maybe it's the volume playing tricks with my eyes or something.
Sorry, your friend just looks digital.
Yeah, your friend's not real, run.
Well, and then that scene of Ahsoka sliding out of jumping and rolling out of the ship looked a little wonky. And she had absolutely no dirt on her all white outfit. I was like, what the hell?
Come on.
Come on.
Things just don't get dirty in Star Wars.
She's got all that stuff just completely weatherproofed. That's impressive.
Part of the reason I drew the noti is because I wanted to draw Ezra and I just didn't think I could do it. But I think Ezra is fantastic in this.
Space Moses.
Iman Asfandi tweeted, "Let my people go," about a week ago. It was like, well done.
Do you think he's going to get a haircut now that he got a little bit of it off the top from Shin? Do you think he's going to cut the rest of it?
He looks fine.
I think the shorter beard works for him, but like I hope he doesn't go back to the Rebel style shave because that didn't look fantastic in the Hollows.
Yeah.
Yeah. I prefer him with the longer hair.
Yeah.
But I thought that everything about him was great. I loved the way they handled the lightsaber because I was just curious, is she gonna offer it back? Is he gonna want it back? Is he gonna roast her for making changes to it? But I thought they handled it real well, where he's just like, no, I don't need it. I don't use it anymore.
He hasn't used one for like 10 years either.
Exactly.
So it doesn't make sense if he knows that she's been practicing with it. He trusts her. There's no reason to say, okay, give me that thing that I might suck with now when our lives are on the line.
I loved that, honestly. Like, it's cool seeing him just be so confident that, like, yeah, I have the Force as my ally. And I think it's important for him to stick with that for Sabine, because that might be part of the reason why Sabine hasn't been able to connect with the Force yet, because she doesn't treat it as an ally. She struggles with it and treats it as something to conquer or control. So I think Ezra is going to help her learn some stuff that maybe we'll get to see her actually use the Force in the finale.
Yeah. And we did have that moment where she felt Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Like Corey's girlfriend Drew.
A visual aid, yeah. If
Yeah.
anyone can remember that.
That it I think shows that her connection with the Force is deepening. So we're still building to it. Do we think she'll use the Force in episode 8?
Yeah.
I hope so. It's
I
been
think,
long
I think
enough.
we have to see it. Yeah. Wait, there's
Move that cup.
she's gonna move a cup. We got to see whatever Balin wants. What else do we think? We can enter into speculation mode now. What do we think is gonna happen in our final episode?
Akbar.
Again,
He'll have a speaking line this time.
Was that? I don't think was he in the prior episode?
I think he was in today's episode.
Oh, was he? Was he
Oh,
the
yeah.
one in the? Okay, then I missed that. So that's good.
I missed it the first time we watched it, but the Mon Calamari sitting next to Xiono is wearing his outfit. It looks like Akbar. It's kind of funny that no one said his name or he didn't speak at all. That would have helped, but
I figured with Home One, like I really thought with them being on Home One that he would be the one to be like, "Oh, Hera, I'll cover for you. You go do this. This is important."
Mhm.
But unless it's like, is Home One just Hera's now? Is she the ranking officer there? But
and there's the whole like general admiral who's in charge here.
Akbar might. Does he have his son at this point? He might be mostly just staying out of like the in space stuff and just doing his office job stuff.
Do you think Aftab got the Home One? Is he a Nepo baby?
No, he's still learning.
Okay. You don't think he's in charge of the Home One?
I don't know who's in charge of anything.
I never know. But yeah, like maybe Akbar will go back, get out into space, get to fight Thrawn.
no, if he was in court, then I don't think so anymore. Because like it's got to be a victory for Thrawn that we're coming into. That's my thought of like they go back. Thrawn has a nice big space victory. It establishes why he's a threat, and then kind of sets up whatever they do next.
That's the drum I've been beating for the past few weeks, but I'm starting to wonder if that actually will happen.
I know.
I want it to happen really bad, but
I'm at this point, I'm afraid that they are going to draw it out to the point where the last scene of the finale is them jumping away from Pridia, and we don't see them actually show back up in the other universe, and then it'll just be the rest of them think that they're stuck there.
Yeah.
I mean, it did take 2 episodes of characters not being there because they were in transit, so that would be reasonable, especially if they don't all leave at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm expecting maybe a more mystical way for the heroes to get home. Thrawn and the villains leave, because it sounds like he's probably bought himself enough time that they won't be able to catch him. I'm just worried that we're not going to get a space battle where he gets to kick the New Republic's ass, because they're giving us enough, I guess, to show what kind of a tactical leader he is.
Yeah, like he came up with the counter encirclement.
Exactly. The best move I've ever seen.
It's a household name at this point.
We were joking before that, just make a bigger circle around their circle. To bring Mark back up, Mollie, when Thrawn said that, he's like, perform a counter encirclement. I was like, Mark's gonna hate that.
He just sent Dave Filoni a $5 super chat saying, "Is this what standards have slipped to?"
How does I'm trying to think of how they think they're gonna get back. Do they think they're gonna call back the whales? Can they go in the hyperspace ring with them? Like, I don't know how that thing is gonna work.
That'd be such an awkward ride if they're just all on the opposite side of the bridge, like
Yeah.
not talking.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like
Just
they're
tape-
gonna
tape
leave
down
with
the
the
middle.
ring, and they'll have to find some other way to get back, because I don't know how they would all.
Mhm.
Is it a race for the hyperspace ring at this point, or I don't know.
I think they're gonna find a different way to get home, and I will. I've been saving this one from Eloasti. Thank you. I think I might be going home after all. Did Ezra just jinx it? Is he a cop 1 week away from retirement now?
Yeah.
I've seen that. So, like, if there's one thing that I really hope doesn't happen, it'd be Ezra dying and not getting back home. Because, like, with
Yeah.
all the that would really make Sabine's move just
Terrible. Yeah.
terrible. Oh, he could have lived with his turtley snail friends forever, but instead you got him killed and got Thrawn back.
Ugh, that would be awful.
I don't think Star Wars is gonna go. That feels like a real slap in the face and like a hopeless scenario where I feel like part of the point is that Thrawn is gonna come back, but there's probably a big reason that Ezra's coming back as well.
Yeah, if they were gonna go the route of killing Ezra, they would have given him the Luke treatment and made him kind of like an angry old man type that maybe just doesn't want to go back home.
Older than he was, but he's just an angry old man.
That time dilation between
They would have just made him a lot more like pessimistic and maybe a little bit crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, it's fun seeing him so lighthearted. Like, he is still himself. He's kept his optimism. So that's the last thing I want to see, is for him to remain stuck out there or die before he gets to go home. Like, I want to see him hugging Hera and Zeb and hitting Chopper with a wrench and meeting Jason. Like, I want the full Ghost Crew reunion.
That is my second fear, not just Ezra dying, but also just Zeb not showing up. Because I keep thinking, oh, this is when this would make sense. He could be in the fighters. He could be at Hera's hearing. He could be hugging Ezra. And then if he just doesn't hug Ezra, what am I supposed to do with myself?
I want them to all reconvene on Lothal. They can basically accidentally recreate like the mural that Sabine painted, and then Zeb can see how she painted him and be like, what the hell?
Is that what I look like?
Is that what you think of me?
They could go even farther, have them come back into the known galaxy at Lothal, the whales come back, and then take Chimera right back to Peridia.
Oh my god. Thrawn would find some papers just to throw them down on the floor.
That's the angriest he gets. He's just like,
but you see, they've revealed too much about their strategy on how to stop us from coming back next time.
Yeah,
really, this is a victory.
This is an acceptable loss, and he's like crying a little bit.
Turns his face and just heavy sobbing. Are you okay, Grand Admiral? Eloasti
I just want to win
super
once.
chat. Ron's the type of guy to stub his toe and be all, the pain has hardened me against life and made me stronger. Stubbing my toe is a victory.
Yeah,
I remember that happening more than it did in Rebels. Like, he kept on letting them go, and he'd be like, oh, they've won the day, but they will lose the war. And he does build up to a point where he can attack several cells instead of just get a couple members of Phoenix Squadron. But even then that falls apart because of his stupid underlings. But like, that excuse only works so many times, where
especially
it's like,
without Constantine around anymore to blame it on.
That's true. I guess now if he's in charge of the Imperial Remnant, he can use that excuse all day and no one can question him. But that's something that I think the books handle better for Thrawn, is when he makes a calculated loss, it just feels better communicated and executed. Where in this, it did feel like he was just saving face in front of Morgan.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder to kind of show the Sherlock Holmesy version of Thrawn as a villain, where you get like maybe 2 or 3 scenes with him, and it doesn't make sense to have like the minute of exposition to explain why he knows like the vulture droids are going to bore through the hull at this angle, and there's 6 people in there because he counted like the condensation droplets on the hull from the who's breathing inside.
That's true. It's not an easy thing to communicate on screen as well as you can in a book. And yeah, a lot of his victories are very much like, well, let me tell you how I knew everything. And you're like, wow, he's brilliant. But it would be weird to pull off in the show. But
it's just his hearing at the end in the New Republic Senate, where he just goes back through all the battles that we see him win over the next few shows. Like, oh, well, this one...
Everyone's just like, how'd you do that? How'd you do that, Thrawn?
No, that's Ziono.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, man, that guy's cool.
He's a fanboy.
If they have any more like you, maybe I should work for them next time. And the whole thing is wrapped up.
That's, yeah. We're going to lead right into Ziono walking into the First Order office. Which that's not, I should say that's not even confirmed. I'm just suspicious of the man, but I'm like all the way in on like, no, he sucks, he's terrible, he's a collaborator. But that has yet to be proven. I think for the sake of this story, he'll just be more like the Borsk Phalia, but I don't think he's going to get any level of redemption later on.
Who?
Another just frustrating senator from the original Thrawn trilogy.
Okay. Don't say words like that and expect us all to know who that is.
Corey's here. Corey knows.
You can tell he's a bad character, Molly, because his last name really just sounds like failure. So it was really subtle when it was set up.
That was like one of the first, because that was one of the first Star Wars books I ever read, and that's when I saw how much Timothy Zahn loves apostrophes, just everywhere.
I mean, a lot of it does make sense where you need to set up the fact that like not every failure is because the people working against you are just out and out with the enemy. Like there are those competing interests, and some people are just kind of out for themselves in a way that it's like they're not a Death Eater, they're just kind of an asshole.
Yeah. I mean, I keep thinking that maybe Ziono will be that dude from Harry Potter, the Minister of Magic, who sees Voldemort and is like, oh my god, he is back. Like that could be his role. But I think he's going to be frustrating the whole time.
You expect me to believe all these tales of Star Destroyers? What even is that?
They're like outside his window blowing shit up.
New Republic military? Come on.
Preposterous.
Although we did something else I considered drawing and we haven't talked about is when he calls 3PO a mere droid and Chopper moves in for the kill immediately.
Chopper was
I'm
like...
shocked he survived until the sequel trilogy at that point.
See, that's I tweeted earlier today. I think we're gonna get some scene eventually. We could probably edit it into Star Wars Resistance where he's a hologram talking to Kazuda, and right before it cuts out, we can have Chopper like roll into the background with a gun.
After Hera dies, Chopper just goes completely off the rails.
Oh, he's been keeping a list for years. And he's like, all right, I'm just going to go out and be all Arya and just tick names off my list. Hamato Ziono, you're number 1.
Did we like having 3PO in this? Because to be honest, I didn't mind it. And then I was like, oh, okay, it's because Leia can't be there. I'll allow it. But when he first showed up, I was like, oh, no.
Well, I had the same reaction, but it was kind of a joyful, oh, no. Like, oh, here he comes. Here comes trouble. Just like knowing he's going to shuffle in and be annoying. But like, you know, he's our annoying little protocol droid.
I mean, Dana, my girlfriend, is not a big Star Wars fan. She's been forced to watch all of the Star Wars she can since starting to date me. But like her reaction to I think it was to Chopper's scene when the ghost is chasing down the hyperspace thing, was basically to just say like R2 and like all the new droids are great. R2 and 3PO are just kind of lame.
Oh, you take that back
They're-
about R2.
They're like the old married couple. All they do is bicker and.
I did push back on the R2 thing there a bit, and it's the association with 3PO, I think, that dragged him down. And again,
I mean,
these are not
you'd
my opinions. I do not endorse, disavow.
You'd have to rewatch all of Clone Wars to really get a feel for just how sassy R2 can get.
And murderous. I mean, like that R3 droid that he sets on fire and pushes off a cliff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a lot more directed in his murderousness than Chopper. Like, he fights when he has to, but Chopper is just always barely restrained from killing everyone in a 6-meter radius.
That is one more thing that I've been hoping for in this show that we haven't gotten yet, but just a moment where we get to see Chopper be completely unhinged. And maybe if Thrawn comes back and lets some stormtroopers loose somewhere, then we can see Chopper pick up a blaster and go nuts.
Doesn't Thrawn recognize Chopper in Rebels at one point and is like, that droid we don't have that model of droid here or something? I thought he maybe saw it at some point and was like, that looks out of place.
Someone somewhere in Rebels says like, oh wait, that's that droid that keeps infiltrating our stuff. Or I can't remember if it was Thrawn directly, but it would be excellent if they're not going to do this. It would actually be very cheesy, but it would be funny if Thrawn showed back up in the galaxy and like Chopper's the first face he sees. He's like, oh no, turn it around.
Give me everything that the Inquisitorius whatever has on this droid in particular.
Someone needs to make an edit of the Sabine scenes of like, oh, it's good to see a familiar face, and it's just swap in Chopper for that.
Well, before we let you go, Corey, is there anything else you wanted to bring up that we didn't get to?
I guess the only thing is a question of whether any of the Noti or the Howler are going to be going on the T6 to come back with them, or is Ezra saying goodbye?
Well, we talked about this with the Howler because I was like, after we got the Lothcat and that didn't get to go on the journey, I've kind of been burned. But then I was like, wouldn't it be like a little disruptive to just bring in a brand new species for the ecosystem of Star Wars if we're thinking realistically? I don't know if they would actually leave their like home world to go to another galaxy.
So 5 years from now, the known galaxy is just like littered with these things.
Yeah, they're gonna somehow like take out a bunch of other species just by being there. So that'll be the reason why they can't go.
Oh, that's fair.
The Noti, I would not mind if they all came along. I wouldn't mind if just the one Howler came. Might be possible.
Yeah, the cowardly one.
Yeah.
They're not going to go and collect all the ones from the Raiders that they've just killed.
Well, they all need homes now, Corey.
Sabine just opens a Lothal Humane Society.
So that place already has Loth wolves. Like that would probably get into apex predator competition really fast.
Yeah, that would become a problem.
Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us for an hour. Before we let you go, where can people follow you online? X, socials, etc.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me. I am on Twitter at Corey Loses. I'm Corey's Datapad on YouTube. I also do some gaming on Corey Loses. If you're an Empire at War player and you want to check out the Thrawn's Revenge mod, I've made that for a while too. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
Just about every day, my Steam alerts me that you're playing Empire at War. Like,
yeah, that usually means I'm in pain.
Well, now I'll know. Now I'll know to go, aw, every time.
All right. Well, thanks.
Have a great rest of your night, Corey.
You too.
And we are going to hang out, answer some chat questions. I did want to I meant to pull it up before Corey left, but the young
I was going to pull that up too, and I couldn't find it.
If we're related, no, we're not. We're just slim white guys with brown hair that love Star Wars.
Not all white
We're-
guys with brown
we're-
hair look the same, but you two do look the same. So
We're doppelgangers, yeah.
I am
I'm
going to take
happy to
a
be
potty.
compared to Corey.
Yes. I'm going to take a potty break.
Okay.
We don't have an ad to run, right?
Nope.
Okay.
I'm just gonna dive right in. So
Okay. BRB.
okay. Our first question is from Queensland, Australia. Thank you so much. Episodes like this really help tie Leia back to her birth parents. Are there any other stories where she also behaves a lot like Anakin and Padme? There are several. I mean, I think the obvious one would be Obi-Wan Kenobi, where at the end Obi-Wan straight up tells her the character traits that she has inherited from both of her parents. But I would also dive way down into Bloodline by Claudia Gray. Great book. It gets into more New Republic politics. It deals with a lot of the same stuff that this show is dealing with, but farther in the future. And so we get to see her being a politician. We also get to see her going off on her own, like Anakin would. And also, the whole story is her having to publicly grapple with her true parentage as the galaxy learns that she's the daughter of Darth Vader. So I would recommend all of those. Calm Like a Bomb, thank you for the next question. How are they going to wrap up Balin and Thrawn in one episode? Is it going to be a mini movie? I am definitely hoping for a nice long episode, an hour. I think they could do it in an hour. Um, it just depends on what they want to focus on. Also, I think we have to admit that Thrawn doesn't have to be wrapped up. I hope that he has a good, satisfying conclusion, but this is going to be very much an introduction for Grand Admiral Thrawn, I think, and then we're going to build up to Filoni's movie, which has been described as the battle between the New Republic and the Imperial Remnant. So I assume Thrawn is going to be a major part of that. I hope that he gets a nice, good show don't tell style battle where he wipes out a New Republic fleet with his busted up Star Destroyer. But we might not get that. I'm kind of mentally preparing myself for it. For Balin, that's where I think we need to spend more time, since we barely know anything about his motivations this whole show. And we've had that question, and I want to know what's up with him. So I hope he gets a decent amount of screen time. I hope that whatever he's after winds up being satisfying. But I think those are the two things that we'll probably focus on. Stuart J, thank you for the next one. The minefield felt fitting for them. So much alliteration. The minefield felt fitting for them to set up, and it provided a means to remove the Purgil as a way home for our heroes, amping up the tension. Yeah, I was really relieved that the Purgil just jumped away. I was afraid that we were gonna have to watch Purgil die. I was afraid we were gonna have to watch Nodi die. Mollie was afraid that the Howlers were gonna die. So I'm glad that we just got to see them jump off, and that was kind of a funny moment where Hu Yang jinked them all. So yeah, I don't know how they're going to get home now, but I'm glad that it's not just going to be a mirror of how they got there. I think Thrawn is going to take the hyperspace ring home, but I think Ahsoka and Ezra and Sabine and Shin probably are going to have to find another way, and maybe Balin too. Andrew Biederman, thank you for the next question. I think 8 episodes a season is too short, but 8 eps is okay when each is an hour plus. Wheel of Time, Game of Thrones, etc. can have full episode lengths. Why can't Star Wars? Well, I think that I don't know what the budgets are, but I mean, I think that they are writing these episodes to be as long as the story needs to be. It does sometimes feel like they wrote kind of a movie, a long movie, and then they just cut it up. Sometimes the episodes don't feel like they are telling complete stories. I think it would be interesting to look at this show as if it really were quote unquote Star Wars Rebels season 5, because I think we probably would have gotten 16 episodes. I think it probably would have been more like the Bad Batch or something. But I don't know. What do you think, Molly? Is 8 episodes too short, especially when they're not all hitting an hour?
No.
You gotta turn off the auto detection on your microphone.
Sorry.
It's so loud.
Is it still loud?
It'll adjust.
I don't know why it does that. I also don't know how to turn it off. So
I'll look into it for you.
um,
You're now it adjusted.
okay. No, I don't think it's too short. I think they are being a little more strict with their budget for some stuff, and they're really blowing their budget on other stuff, like smoothing over Hayden a little bit to create a very good looking younger Anakin. But I don't know, because like we don't know where this story is headed. We don't know the timeline on Filoni's movie. So we could be getting like 2 more seasons of this show. We don't really know. I don't think it's too short, but we'll see what the finale gives us if it answers some of our bailing questions.
That is always kind of the thing, is we need to get to the end of the season and then just see how it feels as a full story. I do kind of miss the Rebels vibe though, where I
Yeah.
think we would have, if this were Star Wars Rebels season 5, we would have gotten a similar story, but it wouldn't have all been crammed into like a week or however long this was. It would have been interesting if, episode 4 were the mid-season finale and that was more like episode 8 or 10. But between episodes 1 and 9, we would have seen a lot more like little side missions that still pushed the plot along. We would have occasionally caught up with Morgan as she builds the Eye of Sion. We would have had
Mhm.
run-ins with Balin and Shin and Marok. And then they go off to the galaxy, and like the second half of the season is the quest to get there. World Between Worlds happens. Like it would have been interesting to see everything a little more spread out.
Yeah. Of course I would have loved 22 episodes of a live
Yeah.
action Star Wars show, but that just ain't it. Like that's not something that they're going to do, I don't think, ever.
And part of the struggle for Star Wars television live action has always been George Lucas, when he was developing Underworld. He didn't want to put it out until he felt like it looked up to Star Wars standards. So I think it's true that if they put out a show that weren't as grand and epic and had a smaller budget but longer episodes, I think it's just this interesting struggle to find the balance between telling a long enough season but also one that looks good. And I do think Ahsoka looks great. There have been moments where I'm like, I can tell that that's not a real stormtrooper, or that obviously that's not a real person jumping out of that ship. But
Mhm.
it doesn't bother me because I'm just into the story.
Yeah.
It's also interesting. I was just going to point out that like Wheel of Time, at least when you're looking at Amazon, like content, I hate that I just said that.
Ooh, don't.
Making, I mean, well, that's how they view it, but making television shows is not the bulk of their business. And so I think that they are a little more willing to throw around money to and commit early on to be like, Rings of Power is going to be this many seasons and this many episodes, and each episode is going to get a massive budget.
Well, when you talk in Rings of Power, I mean, for Star Wars, this works too, but that was like a huge project that they spent a lot of time working on getting ready and getting right, and they knew people were already buzzing about it. There's already a huge fan base for Lord of the Rings, and so like they just went all in on that. And Star Wars is at the point where they can't really go all in on anything right now.
Well, yeah, that's because while Disney obviously has the theme parks and making movies and TV is not their only part of their business, it is a huge chunk of it. So it is a little riskier for them, I guess.
Yeah.
But now I'm starting to talk about stuff that I don't fully know about.
Right. So. When Bob Iger came back, Bob Iger. When he came back with a plan to like redo a bunch of budget stuff and like reorganize how they were gonna pay for stuff. So yeah, we have no idea what's going on behind the scenes as far as what they're allowing budget wise for these shows. So I guess we'll find out. I don't know.
Yeah.
Neil R. Adamson has the next super chat. Thank you, Neil. I'm bummed that I'm going to miss tonight's stream. Just wanted to drop a super chat early and say I was on the edge of my seat the whole time for this episode and have been loving this show. Ezra casting is perfection. Thanks. Yeah, Ezra's character work so far has been spot on, like perfect for me. No,
I agree with everything you said. I just realized how into the show I was last night watching it, where I was a little more critical early on, and then this time I was just sitting there and I was enjoying it, having a great time, heart pounding, worried about what was going to happen. It totally won me over.
Mm-hmm.
And Ezra is perfect. Iman Esfandi is crushing it.
It finally started to feel like Rebel season 5 is, I think, what did it for me.
I mean, having Ezra around, I think, is a important aspect of it. Just to finally have the whole crew together, and
Thrawn,
yeah. Everyone's just feeling right.
They're just vibing.
They're just vibing. Stuart J, thanks for the next one. I loved Ezra's fighting style, very Avatar: The Last Airbender. But do you think he'll build a new lightsaber with Hu Yang and train with him?
Ooh.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, he hasn't met Hu Yang.
Oh, they'll get along great.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Also, we haven't talked about Hu Yang at all, but that groan that he lets out when Ahsoka is teasing him on the ship is fantastic.
Yeah. A+ droid groan.
Well done, David Tennant.
I do like the connection of The Last Airbender, because didn't Filoni work on that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he's a fan. So,
yep.
Will he build a new lightsaber with Hu Yang and train with him? I would love to see that, but I don't know that we'll see it anytime soon.
I'm on the fence. Like, I will be perfectly fine and excited to see what he builds if he builds a new one. But I also am really into this version of a Jedi. I've seen people comparing him to a monk in D&D, which I'm like, yeah, that tracks. But just this like magical hand-to-hand combat fighting style, I like that a lot.
Yeah, and I feel like at this point, I mean, not that in order to be a Jedi and have a lightsaber, you have to use it to fight, but after everything he's been through, after where he's been for all this time, maybe he doesn't want one. Like he said to Sabine, like, the Force is my ally. I got my thing. You're the one that's been training to fight with the lightsaber. So I'd be fine if he never got another one, but it'd be cool to see in live action Hu Yang help someone design a new one.
Maybe he'll do that for Jason at some point.
Yeah, and we never get to see anyone actually like put together their new lightsaber. They just show up.
Yeah, not in live action.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there's people love the youngling arc because we get to see these kids like using the Force to put their lightsabers together. I love that scene.
Yeah, it's like, for me, it's like watching someone do the customization stuff in Baldur's Gate. Like it's like the most fun part for me. I want to see what they pick.
It's so much cooler than the deleted scene from Return of the Jedi where Luke just has a screwdriver and he's like doing the finishing touches. Yep.
Did it.
And that's how you build a lightsaber.
And back then people were like, yeah, sure.
Mhm.
Got it. He built a new one. No questions.
No questions ever. We're Star Wars fans and we're chill.
Cassia Pipe, I think, if I remember.
I think you're right.
Please correct me if I'm wrong again in the chat, because I do that a lot with names. Thank you for the next super chat. Regardless of who wins in the inevitable battle and the finale next week, at least we can already celebrate this week's WGA victory. That is correct. The writers are back at it after winning some pretty amazing stuff in their agreement.
Which I don't want to like go off on a tangent on just how terrible the AMPTP has been. And already they're starting to put together lobbying groups to do some BS. But the deal that they struck is great. I'm more frustrated because I think the AMPTP could have done it this whole time and probably knew it was inevitable, but still like crossed their arms and stamped their feet and tried to not do it, which is just annoying.
Because they know how much money it's going to cost to treat these writers fairly.
Well, in the grand scheme of things, to them, it's not that much money. And still, it took this long and the SAG strike is still not over. Hopefully, it all follows suit soon. But yes, I don't want to like poo-poo on a great victory. From what we've read about the deal, it looks pretty great. Mm-hmm. It looks like what they want. I'm still a little iffy on some of the language around the AI stuff.
Writers can still use AI, but there's at least a lot of constraints on it now, and a lot of stuff involving having to say whether or not it involved any AI work.
It's like I would much rather it be in the hands of the WGA, which I think it is more so than the AMPTP. That was more my worry, but I haven't had time to like really dive into it. But all of that aside, yes, it's great. I'm so glad it's over. I'm so glad the WGA is happy and excited about the deal that they struck.
Mm-hmm. SAG next.
Yes, I hope soon. Lord Pryor, thank you for the next one. Chopper's going to be waiting for Ziono in an alley. Totally agree. Kind of touched on this already, but I think my headcanon, until proven otherwise, is that after the First Order and all that, Chopper went and found Ziono.
The Dutch Star Wars guy, thanks for the next one. So what does the title mean? Who was dreaming and who went mad? Also, I just want to say that you've become a weekly need for me. Love your content. Oh, cool.
Thank you, Dutch Star Wars guy.
I didn't even bring up the title, but...
And you had a great take on it.
I did really like the title, and so often since we don't get the titles ahead of time, I'll like read the title and then it immediately falls out of my head and I'm like, what was the title of that one? But it was Dreams and Madness.
Yeah.
So my interpretation of that was maybe it was about Shin and Balin, and Shin has dreams of like being accepted and fitting in with her people, any group of people. You know, Balin is just stringing her along, and he was like, Thrawn isn't it? Like, Shin just has no idea where she belongs. So maybe Shin is the one dreaming of like maybe switching sides, and Balin is slowly devolving into some sort of madness in his search for whatever it is he wants.
I think that works. I don't see Balin going insane or anything, but it definitely is just this I don't even want to call it an obsession, because he seems like such an even-keeled dude, but you can see him becoming more and more intense about whatever it is that he's after. And he recognizes that Shin has different dreams than he does and lets her go her own way. I also think it's just a reference to the world of Peridia, because I think in last week's episode he tells Shin, like, this is a land of dreams and madness. So I wonder if this title will make even more sense in retrospect after next week.
It could, yeah. It could just mean like Ahsoka's here and she now knows of this planet / galaxy that has once been described as dreams and madness.
It's also the closer everyone is getting to achieving their dreams or goals of reuniting with Ezra and loading up the cargo into the Star Destroyer. Like, it's just becoming more chaotic and mad as all the characters start to reconverge. And there was just a lot of fighting and action in this episode.
Yeah. And I could be completely off and wrong about my assessment of that title. So take with that what you will.
I feel like Shin looks already mad.
Yeah.
She's just been upset this whole time, but and yeah, Balin, I would say, is a dreamer as well. Like,
but I'm wondering if his devotion to whatever it is he thinks is here is gonna like make him go a little crazy.
Yeah, like, I mean, any obsession is going to drive someone closer and closer to madness.
Fun stuff.
Swole Yoda has the next one. Thank you. Where is Barasafi?
I'm never going to be able to unsee that picture.
That is a cursed image.
Where is Barasafi? She
Not
is
in this story.
safe and sound in Filoni's pocket.
Yeah.
Ready to be unleashed at any given time. But not yet.
She's, instead of Schrodinger's cat, it's Filoni's Barris, where any masked character that pops up will be like, it might be Barris until it's not.
The only place I imagine, this is just me personally, the only place I see us getting Barris is in Tales of the Jedi.
I'd be okay with that. Like, just like, let's finally tell her story.
That feels like something Filoni would want to just briefly be like, okay, well, here's my quick idea of what happened with Barris. It's not, I don't think it's going to be like anything huge.
Yeah. He has said before that he has thoughts and ideas, a story in mind, but he has said that about a lot of things. So maybe we'll get to see it someday. I hope we do. But it is not this day.
Oops. Tim Sim, thanks for the next one. I'm not the only one thinking that the season finale needs to be an hour and 15 minutes long, am I? Also, I think Ahsoka really needs a season 2. Also, victory for the WGA. Well, I don't know that it needs to be exactly an hour 15, but I would love it to be an hour-ish.
We talked about this yesterday before we'd even seen the episode. Mollie was like, we're going to end this episode and we're going to go, how is it all going to wrap up in one more week? Because that seems to be true of just about every Star Wars show. I think Andor was the only one that I was like, I can see how this is resolved in 1 week. But most seasons of The Mandalorian, you get to the second to last episode and you're like, but how are they going to save Baby Yoda? They just spent a whole episode rescuing Bill Burr. So
he's not even cute.
I don't think that I don't think it has to be an hour and 15 minutes. I think they probably could pull it off in 45. I hope it's longer. It's one of those things that, like, every time I pull up the app and I'm like, oh yeah, it's a 55-minute episode, it excites me. And if it's a 35-minute episode, I'm like, oh, a little short. But I think it's going to be as long as it needs to be, and then we'll decide if it answered everything we wanted it to.
I never really am bothered by the episode lengths. Oh, did we accidentally get
Yep.
rid of one? Oops.
Yep. We both clicked at the same time. It was from Josh Mansfield, if you can find it, but I have the message. It said Thrawn seeing who Ahsoka's master was, and then going, "Oh, Carabast." I did like that moment where he just like, "Are you telling me this is Anakin Skywalker's Padawan?" I thought that was a good moment.
We didn't even really talk about that.
We didn't talk about Anakin at all, who also got another appearance.
Like the Skywalkers, we've heard enough about him.
Anakin. Well, it's like there was so much else to talk about, but we were speculating on whether or not we would see Anakin again at all, and I was completely wrong. I was like, maybe that was all just false dialogue that Filoni recorded to trick us, but no, it literally was that moment from Tales of the Jedi.
And apparently he recorded 20 or more of those. I loved that line because I was like, that could be literal. Like they had Hayden record a bunch of random stuff.
There is one in Star Wars Rebels that we see Ahsoka watching with Ezra. So I think we've seen 2 of them. And then there's a box full of them that I think she should probably give to Luke at some point. Let him see.
That'd be interesting.
His dad as a teacher. That'd be cool. Miranda here. Thank you for the next one. This episode was a perfect semi-final for me. Definitely got more War Grider vibes, yes, but it ended on a warm feeling even as I'm pumped for the finale. Do you think Shin may turn after Ahsoka's offer?
I hope so.
I think the door is open for that.
Maybe a little wider than it was before. Yeah, I was like I said earlier, I was on the fence about whether or not that could happen because I just wasn't getting that feeling from her quite yet. But after the dialogue between her and Baylan and the moment with her and Ahsoka and her just kind of like running away.
If she truly just does want someplace to belong, and Baylan he didn't send her away, but she doesn't feel like she wants to do what he's doing, and she doesn't feel like the Empire wants her around because they all left her. I think she might try to go find Baylan, but ultimately will go with the heroes. That's my guess.
Yeah, because she's gonna try to get some closure out of Baylan and not get it probably.
I'm just gonna skip to the next one because it's relevant from Eleanor Mueller. Thanks, Eleanor. When Shin surrenders, fingers crossed, and joins the gang, will she keep the orange saber?
I mean, she could, if Hu Yang is still there, which he will be. He better be. Nothing can happen to Hu Yang. I mean, he could help her bleed the crystal back. I don't know.
Purify
purify the crystal and like redesign her saber somehow, maybe.
I do like her saber a lot.
I do too.
But if she purifies the crystal, then Ahsoka might be like, white lightsabers are my thing. You're not allowed.
They could just, I'm sure Hu Yang has a couple 100 extra kyber crystals in his little workroom, and he can be like, here you go, I have 1 million of these.
They're all just lying around.
Yeah, so okay, I didn't even think about that with the Ezra. Will he build another saber stuff? Like, yeah, sure, go for it.
I mean, there are extra lightsabers in the shuttle in that training room, so just pick up an extra. I hope that Shin gets to keep her hilt though, because I think it looks cool.
I do too. Her hilt and her armor look so badass. I don't want her to go anywhere. Trilgenth, thanks for the next one. Do you think there's a giant ball in the Night Sister Temple that, when placed correctly, flips it upside down so you can read the Zepho/Sith runes?
I don't. The whole temple just goes.
Flips everything upside down? Or
I guess the whole temple, the whole planet.
No, I don't think so.
That's why I think that the Kujet call out in the runes was just an Easter egg, because not only did you have to translate the Urkatat, but you also had to flip it. Like, I think that was just them having fun and being like, let's throw these nerds a bone.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be thrilled if there's Zepho next week. I will be shocked. But right now, I'm like, I think they were just hiding something fun for people to find. A true Easter egg. Lisa Farinha, thank you for the next question. I've wondered if Shin could become Morgan's apprentice. Has a Jedi ever studied Night Sister magic? I don't think Shin would do that because she seems real creeped out by the witches.
Also, I don't think Morgan would want her as an apprentice.
Yeah, they don't seem like they get along super well.
So probably not. And I don't see Shin being able to just all of a sudden use Night Sister magic.
It would be something that I do think she could learn it. I'm trying to think of a Jedi ever doing it. The closest thing I can think of is Asajj, who was a Night Sister baby, a Dathomirian baby, who was then taken away by a pirate who died. So then she was taken by a Jedi and trained, but then he died. So then she became a Sith, and then she was betrayed. So then she went back and was accepted into the Night Sisters and went through the ritual. And I think that she would have learned magic, but then they all died. Poor Asajj. She just had it rough. But I think that it would be possible for a Jedi. Did Quinlan learn any magic? Because he studied with Asajj on Dathomir. But
that's what I'm saying. Like, can anyone just learn to use Night Sister magic?
I don't see why not. If I think it would definitely be like learning spells and learning the mindset. It would be different from being a Jedi in my head, but I don't think you have to be Dathomirian to learn magic. Like, I don't think Morgan is Dathomirian the same way that the Great Mothers and Mother Talzin are.
Right.
Okay, Scotty here says Quinlan just learned some dark side stuff. That feels about right.
I think
that'd
that's
be cool.
Pretty doubtful.
I think maybe Cal is the closest that a Jedi has gotten to using magic.
Oh yeah, and because he had that talisman thing, right?
Yeah. And Ian Sharp says Sheev learned some magic. That is true, but his is blue. And he did team up with Mother Talzin to learn some stuff from her. So I think
it was more just dark side Sith adjacent rather than Dathomiri Night Sister magic.
That's I'm sure he learned stuff from her, but I agree that I think it probably was his own brand of magic. John Smith points out that Maul made a potion. That's true. In Rebels, he makes that potion for him and Ezra to drink.
That's like Night Sister for dummies.
Yeah. That's literally the book he had out where he learned the potion.
But it's in like ancient runes. John Booze, thanks for the super chat. Did y'all tear up for 3PO? Sadly I did not. I kind of rolled my eyes a little bit, but I quickly realized why he was there, and I was happy for it.
I rolled my eyes also, but in a like, oh, you way. I think we both went, oh no.
Oh no.
Just because we were like, what's he gonna say and do? But
mostly I think
help.
Because of like, I think we got burned after Rogue One when they were just there for no reason.
Oh, I didn't have any fears about the scene. I said, oh no, because I just thought it was going to be funny and he was going to come in and be all 3PO.
Right. But I'm saying that's kind of why we didn't love it in Rogue One, because we were like, why are they there?
It's not that they didn't belong there. It's that they stopped the movie dead just to be like, look, remember?
And I did like, though, that Mon Mothma had the line of, what are you doing here? And I was like, exactly. But it turned out to be fine. But no, I did not tear up. I haven't teared up at anything in this season so far, sadly. Maybe I'm just dead inside.
Calm like a bomb. Thanks for the next one. Did they squeeze Anthony into the suit or puppet it like they did for the sequels? I doubt Anthony Daniels wants to be in the suit anymore.
Hasn't he like always insisted on it though?
He's always voiced 3PO. I don't know that he has always been in the suit, and let the man rest.
Well, yeah, but he doesn't. He wants to be actively in stuff still.
I'm gonna guess it wasn't him in there, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, we'll see. Like MC Lego Boy says in the chat, we'll see in the making of.
That's true.
Richard Brendan, if Thrawn's forces are dwindling, does that mean they are not zombies? If they are the Night Sisters, could recycle them. Does this make sense? So I think we are to believe that the Night Troopers are just whoever is alive and who they had left as far as stormtroopers. But I think everything in those cargo cases are probably Night Sister zombies waiting to pounce on somebody.
Yeah. The Night Troopers, it was a fun theory. I was all for it, but I think they're just stormtroopers with repaired armor, and the red cloth is to show their allegiance to Thrawn and the Night Sisters, and to sell action figures.
Mm-hmm. And to convince people to make new Halloween costumes.
Which I might do. Matt Lang, thank you for the next one. Sabaoth used the Force to make troops carry out Thrawn's orders in unison and effectively. Will the Mothers fill that role with night zombie troopers, or just the Night Troopers? Maybe. I don't know. I have no clue.
So wait, Sabaoth used the Force to control troopers?
Kind of connect their minds a little better. It was
hive mind, kind of.
Sure, not quite, but it's similar to what Avar Kriss does in the High Republic as well. It's kind of like battle meditation of like, okay, we're all gonna be on the same page, like exactly mentally, so we know what to do and when.
I mean, don't they have little radios?
Yeah, but this is better.
I mean, yeah, if you could do it with the Force, sure, that's better.
Now they can do it without their radios. They can just do it mentally.
Yeah. Well, the Mothers fill that role.
I think if they were zombie troopers, then I would say maybe, but I'm gonna guess no.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see what the Mothers are gonna do with all that cargo, hopefully in the finale, or like we'll get an idea of what they're gonna do.
Also, Mollie has pointed out that we haven't really seen the Great Mothers do much outside of hold their little magic balls with.
We haven't even seen them use the classic green Night Sister magic, which
that's what I'm waiting for.
At this point, impatiently waiting for. They just have their little magic balls that have the red stuff come out, and I'm just like, okay, cool, but let's see some magic.
Josh Mansfield, thank you for the next question. Could Peridia be the source of the actual Force? I doubt it, just because we've seen the wellspring of life in the other galaxy. Maybe every galaxy has one of its own. We're not sure. Or maybe the main Star Wars galaxy is like the center of the universe, out of which every other galaxy sprung. But I don't know. Like, I don't think Peridia seems that special yet.
I mean, obviously Peridia is maybe an ancient source for the Night Sister magic, but I don't know if we could say it's the source, the one and only true source of the Force.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Yeah. I like the idea of there being a wellspring of life in every galaxy. It just might look a little different. And only Yoda knows where it is. Guiguio, thanks for the next one. So the Night Troopers are not zombies. Any chance only Enoch was reanimated by magic? His voice feels similar to Marok. It does. Just trying to save the idea. So I did
like
think of this too, because before I was thinking maybe everyone was zombies except Enoch. But yeah, maybe he's the only one that is a reanimated corpse. And that's why he gets the cool face helmet and the cool voice.
I just appreciate you trying to save the idea. Like, come on, someone's got to be a zombie. It's almost spooky season, which I think it will be kind of perfect if October 3rd is the final episode, and if we get Night Sister Witch zombie insanity, it'd be perfect. Now I'm kind of like, I'm gonna back off of the zombie thing, just because I went all in on it last week, and I'm like, okay, it's probably not. It's always possible. He is wearing like a funeral mask inspired helmet, but it might just be a cool looking helmet.
Yeah, it's kind of like their version of a different color shoulder pauldron thing. Like they got to show somehow him looking different because he's kind of a leader. So why not give him a cool gold mask?
He took all the gold. He used it all up for his mask, and now everyone else has to use red tape because Enoch was selfish.
It's red fabric, at least. It's not tape. Tape is much too gauche and gaudy.
Regular, thank you for the next question. Odds of Xiono or someone from the New Republic saying somehow Thrawn returned.
I hope not.
That's a little too on the nose. Filoni already
save that for Palpatine.
Filoni already made that joke about Palpatine in this episode of like, so the Emperor's dead? Oh, that's what people say. Okay, yeah.
We think so. Who knows at this point?
But nah, I think that's a little too far for my taste.
I am excited to see the dumb looks on some of their faces when they realize that Thrawn is actually back. And they're like, dang, I guess everything Hera said was correct.
Hera gets to go to every single Senate seat and just be like, I told you so, I told you so, I told you so, I told you so.
Told you.
And she'll send Chopper to tell Xiono, I told you so.
And then we'll never see him again.
And then his legs are broken. That's weird.
Patrick Foley has the next super chat. After reading the OG Thrawn books, is there a reason why we haven't seen a canon appearance of Bothans? I found it interesting how much Zahn used them. So I have not read the OG's Thrawn books, and I did not know that it had an abundance of Bothans.
The name I said earlier that you got mad at me for, Borskvalia, he is a Bothan senator. And he kind of has a chip on his shoulder because he's like, hey, my people, my spy network helped you win the Galactic Civil War. Put a little more respect on our names. But yeah, there are a lot of Bothans in legend stories that it's become almost a joke at this point, like that we haven't seen one in canon. And I'm like, are they going to look different? Are they going to still look like goat horse people, or will they be something else? And the fact that they just keep dancing around Bothans, I'm like, oh, we're never going to know.
No. They got to be saving them for something good.
But
or
yeah,
it could
I
just
don't know
be
the reason.
An inside joke at Lucasfilm at this point where they're never going to bring them into canon.
Josh Mansfield, thank you for another one. Morgan versus Marin plus Ezra and Cal team up, please. I'd be down for that.
That would be, Morgan. Okay, Morgan versus Marin.
And Ezra and Cal.
Oh, I see. And Sabine.
Put them all in there. It would be cool to see. Like, I wonder what Marin's reaction to the Night Sisters coming back would be, because she has found a different path. like she still uses magic, but it's not all powered through the dark side.
Mm.
So she's, I don't want to call her like a light side witch. She still taps into darkness to power her magic, but she's like, I also know how to use magic through good feelings. So I wonder if she would easily go back and live with more of her people if they were acting real evil or not. Lord Hosk, thank you for the next one. Are we keeping you from Thrawn's revenge?
He might be keeping himself from that. I don't know. He's like, it's going to take 3 days for all of these crates to get loaded up. He's in no rush. Let me scroll down real quick. Max Trix, thank you so much for the very, very generous super chat. Somehow Ezra hasn't sensed anything and seems to be very much in touch with the Force and has said nothing regarding a greater power, yet Balin manages to sense this power reaching to him from galaxies away. Something isn't adding up. Yeah, I feel like Balin is kind of... He keeps bringing up like stories he's heard since he was a kid, and now that he knows that this place is real, maybe this is all just stemming from a story that he knows and is like, well, this has all been real leading up to now, so I gotta go see if this other thing is real too.
He did see when they got there, and he literally was like, this place is a place of dreams and madness. And he seems a little bit in disbelief that everything has worked so far. So it is possible that whatever he's searching for doesn't exist. Shin did tell him sometimes stories are just stories.
Mm-hmm.
So, but he, that could be part of his quote madness, that he wants to believe so much that he's like, Shin, can't you feel that calling to you?
Yeah.
Don't you feel that out there? And she's like, no. Could be.
And for Ezra, you know, he did say the Force is my ally. Obviously, he's still very much in tune with the Force, but his whole goal this whole time has been to get back home. So he hasn't been really open to any great power sources maybe reaching out to him and corrupting him, because he's like in a really good place. He's focused on what his goal is, and that's just getting back home.
It's possible that he did sense it, went out, found whatever it was, and was like, oh, no, this is no good, and just hasn't brought it up.
Yeah. He's probably like, nah, there's some weird vibes coming from that side of the planet. I'm just gonna live with these cool crab people.
But I do think that there's something kind of poetic about Balin having lost his faith in the Jedi and then putting all of his faith in just this nothingness that he is kind of building up in his own head.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of interesting.
Because he did, not to go on for too long about this, but it lines up with what he said about liking the Jedi, but thinking that maybe they weren't too good on paper, or like he liked the idea of the Jedi, but he thought they could have done better. So,
Ian Sharps, thank you for the next one. Who was flying the Ghost at the Battle of Exegol?
Jason.
Maybe. I want to hope that it's still Hera.
Me too.
But Jason also makes sense. Could have been both of them, pilot and co-pilot.
Mm-hmm.
Chopper was there, I'm sure. Leaning out the window with a gun.
Yeah. I don't think we'll know for a long time. We got to find out a lot more about Jason before we get to that point. And then I want to bring up our 2 new members that we've hit so far in the chat. BK11648. It's Scotty Heron. Yay. Welcome, guys. Welcome to the Biggs Mega Fans. And you all have some fun emotes to use in the chat now, including the green flames, which we are severely lacking in the show. So green flames in the chat.
That's becoming more and more relevant. We made it for Star Wars Jedi Survivor, but it really worked out.
Yeah.
Miranda here, thank you for the next one. I love that Ezra taught the crabs to slingshot. Me too. That moment was hilarious. The completely ineffective slingshot, but it was a fun little connection back to Ezra.
I loved the slingshot moment. Also, I was going to start bringing up some of the green flames in chat, but in StreamYard, this is how it shows up. But
magic.
I'm still loving it. Thank you, guys.
Dean the Machine, thanks for the next question. How can Mon handle Perrin but not Xiono? I mean,
she's handling him, but you can tell just by the looks that she has on her face, she's just like over it.
It's definitely a different dynamic where at home in her personal life, behind closed doors, she can tell Perrin he's an idiot and he should stop being so terrible.
And we don't even know if Perrin is still around at this point. She may have got rid of him.
But back in Andor, she has a public face, like when they're at parties and stuff, they're not actively fighting. It's kind of the same thing with Xiono, but Xiono is the elected official representative of a very important, prominent core world planet. So she can't just, in the middle of a hearing, tell him to shut his stupid mouth. Like that
as much as we would love that.
Yeah, that would have lasting political ramifications.
Right.
But behind closed doors, they might fight a lot.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Don't get my hopes up, Sweet Feet Pete, with your super chat. Asking, I hope we get a sideshow collectible of the Noti baby. It's so cute. It's so cute. Let me bring up.
When it popped up today, you just went, baby.
I first of all, I waved back at it. I have a picture from our reaction, I think. We have such happy faces, and I'm just waving back at the camera because the little baby was waving at Sabine.
Hello, baby.
Hello, baby. It's so cute. Oh. I hope so.
Yeah, the next sideshow in the list. I like this. Bones McCoy, thanks for the next question. Both Thrawn and Ahsoka are inventors of the Mark Sable. Who will use it? Well, Ahsoka's already used it in the Clone Wars. I don't think she's going to have a capital ship to use it in Ahsoka. So if anyone's going to use it, I would go with Thrawn.
Remind me what that is again?
It's a specific tactic that Thrawn used where, well, first he used it in Heir to the Empire, and then Ahsoka used it in the Clone Wars just as a nod to what Timothy Zahn did. But basically, you position your hangar away from the enemy so they can't see you deploying your starfighters or where they're coming from.
Ooh, secrets.
And then when they get close, like, all the starfighters swarm.
That feels like a thing they did in Battlestar. Didn't they hide a bunch of Vipers on like a cargo hold?
Yeah, they did. Yeah. They did
making all the connections. That's cool. I hope we see that now. Power Rangers Explained. Where's the I like turtles person? These 2 weeks have been perfect for their return. That's true.
It's true. I miss them. For people who don't know, someone used to come in and just send in chats that say, I like turtles. Or they would ask genuine questions and at the end be like, I like turtles.
Yeah. I don't know where they are, but I hope wherever they are, they're happy and healthy.
Yeah, I hope they're really enjoying these episodes.
Maybe they just got too overwhelmed at all the cute turtle people.
What if this whole time it's actually been like the literal meme, I like turtles kid, and we didn't even know it?
The one that came back to like do
for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
That's okay. I'm just going to assume that that really was that person and they got too busy with the Ninja Turtles movie
Wait, what if that was part of their marketing?
this
They
whole
were
time.
like sending him out to all these live streams. That's we're in too deep
Years and
now.
years worth of investment.
Crazy.
Kai Peterson, thanks for the next one. I've loved Balin's storyline. How do you think they'll wrap that up with only one episode left? I'd think they could continue to season 2, except that Rey has passed.
Mm.
I mean, there is always the chance of a recast if the character's story will continue on. I think they would do that. But I still think that there's a possibility that we could just learn a lot about Balin and what he wants in the last episode. So I think it's possible.
Yeah,
I'm very curious to see how the last episode goes.
they really have been drawing it out to the very end with what it is Balin is after exactly. And I've kind of been just like ignoring the fact that he won't be in a season 2. But now that we're almost to the finale, I'm kind of like, okay, let's put on our tinfoil hats and get really weird. What if Balin does figure out some way to access the world between worlds from Peridia, and he like goes in, has his younger self kill his older self, and then they can easily recast him as his younger self.
That's not how the world between world works, and you know it. He's gonna go into the world between worlds, and he's like, I'm gonna change the past, and I'll be in there, and I'll be like, that's not how it works. You can't do that.
I'm just saying, if they want to keep Balin's character so badly, they I don't know, they could do something weird and
I don't think
change the rules.
I mean, I don't think they're gonna change anything about how the story went. It's just gonna be what it was initially.
I said I put my tinfoil hat on. You don't have to get upset about it.
Carter Forrest, thanks to the next one. When Alex said he wants Pelion and Thrawn to reunite the same way Sabine and Ezra did, I died laughing. Thrawn's exile should be a Robot Chicken series. I love the Star Wars Robot Chickens, so if they ever wanted to do another one, I'd be totally down.
Oh, I would love that. But yeah, Thrawn and Pelion are going to have a heated reunion, I hope.
The biggest hug.
Dean the Machine, was Ezra stranded longer than he was on Rebels?
Yes.
Maybe.
I mean,
because he was there for
Rebels-
almost 10 years?
Yeah, Rebels only went for 5 years, like the whole timeline. So yes, he has been gone for longer than he was ever with the Ghost Crew. Oh, that's sad.
Yeah. But it makes sense as to why he's so just like accepting of everything Sabine is telling him. He's like, okay, so the Emperor's dead, supposedly, and he's like taking all this in and being like, okay, sure, fine, whatever.
Sweet Feet Pete, thanks for the next one. Am I the only one hoping Shin was going to Scooby-Doo run out of there when Ahsoka showed up? Imagine her saying zoinks and then peeling out.
She kind of did that.
Eventually,
Not right away. But that would have been funny.
I'm glad that she tried to fight and was like, nope, can't.
And I saw a lot of people pointing out that Ahsoka didn't even take her lightsabers out.
Yeah.
For that interaction, which I liked that.
It's like she doesn't want to do any harm to Shin.
Josh Mansfield with another super chat. Chopper needs to blow up the Chimera. If anyone could do it, it's Chopper.
Immediately it's destroyed. The second they bring it back to the galaxy and Chopper's like, I got this. Just flies up, kills all the zombies, blows up the ship. No problem.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Calm like a bomb. Thank you for the next question. Anthony Daniels has appeared in more Star Wars than any other actor. He even learned to puppet 3PO when they changed it. Bow down to your golden god.
Good for him. Still rocking it. Catherine O'Leary has the next super chat. What was your opinion on the fight choreography between Ezra, Sabine, Shin, and Night Troopers? It was very Rohirrim-esque with wargs from Two Towers. I thought so too. Like, I'd have to rewatch Two Towers, but this whole show is very heavily steeped in Lord of the Rings connections, so it definitely felt like that. I think you even said that during your reaction.
Yeah.
That we're doing Two Towers now.
Yep. It felt like wargs chasing the Rohirrim or the hobbits across the plain. I especially liked Ezra's fight choreography. What it really did was get me hyped up for the Acolyte, because they showed some very similar fighting styles with the Force in what we saw at Star Wars Celebration, and it looked real good. Like, I really liked what they did with Ezra, but it was far more Kung Fu inspired for the Acolyte, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah. Ooh, you just gave me chills thinking about that Acolyte footage.
It was good.
Oops.
Rivi, thank you for the next one. Ezra gave one with the Force is with me.
He was definitely serving some of that vibe. And I loved it. Scotty Heron, do you think Disney might put out an essential Thrawn list of episodes after this series? If they did, what episodes do you think could be on that list? I mean, they could just say, watch all of season 4 of Rebels.
I mean, honestly, he's not in a ton of episodes of Rebels, so I think they could just say, here are all of his Star Wars Rebels episodes. It would be not that many, and there's some where he only pops up for a little bit. Like, he's in a hologram for the season 4 premiere, so like you could leave that one out, but the season 3 premiere I think is a must. Anything involving the TIE Defender is probably going to be in there, but I think you just there's few enough episodes that you could just be like, put everything that he was in that playlist and be done with it.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing them put out a list. I mean, they did it for Ahsoka, so yeah, maybe.
I think they could. Ice, thank you for the next super chat. This episode was a blast. Lots of great action, but balanced with a lot of insight into the characters, especially with Ezra and Ahsoka's renewed attitude. Great setup for the finale. Can't wait. I agree. Mollie's nodding.
I agree too. Yeah. It was a great setup for it got both of us really hyped for the finale. So yes, it was confirmed that this is indeed a good, solid, slow burn for me.
I agree with you.
I didn't see this pop up, but Corey's Datapad, as promised, here's the fee for being a guest. Weird to charge for that, but oh well. It was a lot of fun. Thanks, Alex and Mollie.
We'll talk later. That's not nearly enough, but whatever. I'll put it on your tab.
We'll bill you.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Magic Punch, thanks for the next one. Hey, y'all. Long-time viewer, first time chatting. Did you notice Sabine has a hickey in the cart scene? No, I did not.
I mean, well, it could be a birthmark or something. Are we to assume that it's a hickey? I don't think so.
I don't think she had a hickey. But I wasn't looking. I can't confirm or deny, but I would be surprised if that were true.
Star Orange 36 in chat says, "Stop! I saw the hickey also."
Hold on, I'm looking at.
It could be a burn. Like, a lot of times, you can get a burn from like a curling iron or something, and makeup people could have just missed it.
Okay, I actually kind of see what they're talking about.
All right, let's see it.
I mean, it's faint if I'm even looking at the right thing. I don't even think it's worth bringing up, but
All right.
the time that it would take to do all that.
I seriously doubt it's a hickey.
It might be a real world hickey, but I don't think it's an in-universe hickey.
Yeah. Another super chat from Scotty Heron. Is the training clip from Rebels one of the other 20 Ahsoka mentions, or was Anakin just really into recording lots of training holograms?
I think it's fine to assume it was one of the 20. That one seemed to be more like he was teaching a class, but whatever. Like he recorded 20 training holograms, and we only know of 2 right now, so why not? There's plenty of room for 18 more.
And it makes sense, doesn't it? Because he was so focused on sneaking around with Padme that he's like, oh crap, I should probably just record a bunch of training montages for my Padawan.
Easy.
I'm so busy. I just got to give you all these in bulk.
Anakin Crespin, thanks for the next one. How do you think Balin's shenanigans will tie in with the overall story, or even thematically? Almost seems like he's walking right out of the plot. I mean, I think that I don't think that what he's doing is going to affect Filoni's movie. I think that when we get to the end, we'll see a clearer picture of how it ties into the themes. But this whole time, he and Ahsoka have been kind of parallel in their resolve, and they're both former Jedi who kind of lost, not their Ahsoka, I wouldn't say lost her way so much, but she felt lost as a person without the Jedi Order or a master, or her identity as a Jedi, where Balin, I think, did lose his way and just went off the deep end and was, I don't even want to say, like, he's so nuanced. He didn't go off the deep end, but he did start murdering. So I would say that's losing his way. But
he's quick to say that he's no Jedi and to kill people with a red lightsaber. So I don't know what he thinks he is, but I know what he looks like.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
But also it does, it works to show that now Ahsoka has had this like life-changing, eye-opening moment, and now she's like, I want to live my life and move forward, move past what is in my past, and like concentrate on the future. And Balin is stuck kind of in the past and wants to, I don't know what he wants.
We don't know what he wants.
He wants to change something, and he wants to figure out how to end conflict forever, which it doesn't seem like can be done by just one person. So I think that's cool to see. Like, here is Ahsoka thriving, choosing to live, and here's Balin going off on whatever tangent he's going off on.
And I also see Ahsoka as trying to figure out, okay, so the Jedi Order wasn't the best thing to me. They didn't treat her great at the end of the Clone Wars, but she still, after a time of being like, I'm no Jedi, has decided. I think there might be a moment in the last episode where she does proclaim herself as a Jedi again. But if not, I think she's already there, that she is going to take what she liked about being a Jedi and form her own identity in that way. Whereas Balin is like, I liked the idea of the Jedi, but they didn't work, so I'm abandoning all of it. And I think that that's probably going to play into whatever he does next episode.
Catherine O'Leary has another super chat. Who do you think would have had the most carnage, Dr. Afra's droid BT-1 or Chopper? Maybe add in 000 too.
I'd go with, I mean, BT-1 and 000 are kind of a team.
They are like known for being quote murder droids, right?
Yeah, and BT1 is loaded up with weapons, so I think they would cause more damage than Chopper. Like, Chopper is willing to accept collateral damage and will attack when needed. BT1 and 000 are like, nah, we exist to kill. So I think they would do more damage.
Yeah. I think Chopper has gotten away with more, though, like on the down low. No one wants to admit the things that they've seen Chopper do.
Daniel Bender, has the next one, and I found their message. It says, I keep seeing people saying Ezra may be like a Joris Sabayoth style character now, and that we can't trust him. What do you think? I don't get that at all.
They're not going to pull that at this point. Like, they would have given us some kind of clue at this in this second episode that we've seen Ezra in, and I don't see any clues to him being not who he says he is.
He's who the madness in the title refers to. Now, I get the impulse to try to find parallels between the original Thrawn trilogy and this story. I've been doing it as well. Like, I think that there's a good chance Shin might be very similar to Mara Jade, but I don't see much connect. I don't know if I see anything connecting Ezra to Sabayoth other than the fact that they were like missing Jedi that were thought dead. Now, if his name were Ezra Bridge or with 2 eyes, that's a different story. But
we wouldn't know because we haven't seen him write his name on anything. So, which would be really weird. Property of Ezra Bridger. Ice, thanks for the next super chat. This may shock you, but I really liked the opening scene with the New Republic. I am shocked. Great way to start off. Leia and 3PO with the clutch save for Hera. It was a nice touch to have Leia be the one to swoop in and cover basically for her.
I liked that everyone kind of knew, including people in the audience. Like, the second 3PO was like, I have a message from Leia. Everyone's like, okay, I know how this is going to go. And I love how transparent it was. Like, obviously,
yep,
this is all BS. And Ziono calls it out, but everyone's like, nope, sounds good to me. Let's move on.
I mean, Mon Mothma was looking for any excuse to end that council meeting.
Ice also said, loved 3PO showing up. Great surprise. I lit up hearing his voice, and I love how he carried himself. He took no prisoners from Ziono. I love that this gets Leia involved without needing her to show up. Agreed.
Yeah. Agreed. Tim Sim has the next one. Interesting that Ahsoka being called Rebel Season 5 is considered by some, I saw online as a criticism for not getting new audiences to fully understand what they haven't seen in Rebels.
Well, they should have watched Rebels.
Yeah.
At this point,
stop complaining about it and go watch Rebels.
They were pretty clear on what this show was going to be, and I kept thinking it was going to lean way more into introductory stuff, but I'm happy that there is a live action show that is catering more to the people who have spent a lot of time in this universe. And I don't think it's shutting the door on people who haven't. But it's more for us than it is for them.
I mean, they gave us Bo-Katan in The Mandalorian and didn't really do a ton of backstory on her.
They said enough. Yeah.
Yeah, they gave her enough of an intro for that show for it to make sense as to why she would be there. So at this point, I think they're trusting the people who are watching these shows to just follow along as best they can. Even Favreau himself has been like, oh, the internet's doing a great job at filling in all the gaps for everybody. Like, they just know that anything that people don't already know about what's going on in Star Wars, they're just going to Google and figure it out.
Yeah.
So
Dean the Machine, thanks for another one. Ezra Force Fu, like Mace Windu in '03 Clone Wars. I would love to see Ezra do that, like the full on the way Mace Windu throws hands at B2 battle droids. That would be kind of awesome.
Mm-hmm. Imp Simp, thanks for the next one. I love your guys' channel. I was stoked to see a live action Imperial gunship. Will we see Ezra and Ahsoka knighted at the end of this season? By who?
They should just knight each other.
I mean, Ahsoka doesn't care about being knighted, and I'm sure at this point Ezra doesn't either. He doesn't even care about having a lightsaber.
I think Ahsoka basically got knighted. I mean, it was kind of a backhanded thing at the end of the Clone Wars after they kicked her out of the order and they were like, "Oh, our bad. That was actually your Jedi trial." And she was like, "I'm leaving." So I think technically I think that she did get knighted right before she left. I'm the same way though. I don't need to see these Boken Jedi get knighted. Like the whole point of this era of Jedi after the order is destroyed is kind of that they're finding out what it means to be a Jedi for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't need someone like stamping a document and being like, "You're a Jedi now."
Yeah.
Like I see Ezra in this episode. I'm like, he's good. He's a Jedi.
They're finding out what it means now to be a Jedi, as far as what can I do to help the rest of the people around me and the galaxy as a whole. There's no Jedi Order anymore, so the fact that they can call themselves Jedi is fine. No one cares if it's proved that they're a knight or not. But
yeah,
it's like
Luke's not going to swoop in and be like, "Now hold on."
Right. Can you imagine Luke being the one to knight Ahsoka as a Jedi? What a ridiculous thing that would be. Anyways, I just like they're just figuring out how to be good, helpful protectors of the peace.
I do think that there's a place for some characters where that's impactful and important. I think it meant a lot for Kanan because he felt inadequate. He felt like he didn't finish his training, but he had Yoda show up and be like, "Hey, buddy, you did good." Like, if it means something to him, if he needs to be knighted to move on, then sure. But I don't get that from Ahsoka or Ezra.
Yeah.
Lightspeed Bear, thanks for the next one. I could see the good guys making a run for the Chimera / Eye of Sion before it jumps in episode 8. That way the story gets them back, plus a confrontation with Thrawn. Yeah, maybe.
But like we talked about this earlier, and I was like, what does that look like? Can they all take the Eye of Sion together? Or
I think they would have to like land on the Star Destroyer.
And then they would all go together?
Yeah. If they're I'm talking about in the hangar. I guess they could attach to it like Han did with the Falcon. But with what? Like I think they would have to get back inside the Star Destroyer. Unless the Noti are like, "Hey, our trailers can fly."
They're like, "By the way, we've known this whole time how to get back to your galaxy, but we just really liked hanging out.
We just really like you."
Oh no.
Oh man.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to be able to all take the Eye of Sion back. That seems unlikely to me.
Oh, derp. Yeah, they have the T6.
Yeah, like
I completely forgot Hu Yang was flying that around the whole episode.
And doing a great job at that.
Uh-huh.
Michael Chappelle has the next one. Will Thrawn eventually attack Coruscant? Would maybe explain why New Republic set up on Hosnian Prime in the sequel era as Coruscant becomes unstable. That would be interesting. I don't think Thrawn has a big enough force to attack and win over Coruscant with just his one little chimera. But if he sicks the dead Night Sisters, on the whole planet, who knows what would happen?
Yeah, I it's not going to happen in Ahsoka, but as Michael says, eventually, I think he could. He does in Heir to the Empire, through some like wild tactics, but he basically puts them on lockdown.
Miranda here. I keep forgetting about the Shadow Council, but like we don't even know what they have ready to go. They don't know. Well, I guess we don't know if they know exactly when Thrawn is going to show back up.
They have some resources. We just don't know what. But I think he's going to be able to take control of them. They probably have some secret factories somewhere or just some fleets lying around. But Thrawn can do a lot with a little.
Yeah.
But I think that is, an eventually thing.
That would be interesting, though, if to really show how big of a threat Thrawn really is to the whole galaxy, to have him be the one that almost took out or did take out Coruscant.
So say that again.
It'd be a good way to show how big of a threat Thrawn is.
Oh, yeah.
If he were behind almost destroying Coruscant.
And I do like that it would be a reason for them to move to Hosnian Prime. Yeah, I could see it. Sweet VP, thanks for another one. This episode definitely had a real Rebels feel to it, like Ezra slamming the hatch shut on the Noti, and the Howler made me lol a couple of times.
Oh, yeah. That's what I was saying earlier. This finally felt like Rebel Season 5 for me, which is kind of what I've been waiting for. Another moment that made it work was Ezra trying to like convince Shin to like take them as prisoners. It was just a very Ezra moment where he's
Ezra
like, wait, no,
perfect,
don't kill us.
Or
How
we could
about
just
this? Lightspeed Bear, thanks for the next one. Calling it now, episode 8 post-credit scene, Balin plus Bendu. I have been advocating for the Bendu to show back up. That would be interesting if Balin was like, I've heard tales of this Bendu guy. Maybe they have one on Peridia.
Yeah, I don't see it happening. But, I mean, Dave has been leaning into the weird stuff this whole series, so fingers crossed. I'd love to see the Bendu again. Bones McCoy, thanks for another one. Tales of the Jedi vibe from that holo. That makes sense. It was like the same script. Great seeing one last lesson right before she uses some classic Anakin evasive maneuvers, avoiding the mines.
She had really good control over that ship, especially not even so much the mines, but in the graveyard of bones. That would have been a nightmare to fly through.
She's got the Force. She can do it.
That's true. Ice has another thread of super chats here. Chopper literally saying, WTF, gave me a good laugh. He was ready to go to war. I say they should have let him. I liked Carson moving in to calm him too. Yeah, seeing Carson have to be the one to like hold Chopper back was really funny.
No, don't do it. It's not worth it.
I also really liked Mon in this. This is how I wish she was more. Hear out both sides, but still hold her own. Had some pause when she said, I don't know what you and Leia are playing at, but overall I felt very positive. I find it interesting that a vote happened without Leia, the leader of the council, and how that was allowed, but whatever. I did notice she kind of smirked when Hera wrecked Xiono, and I loved that. I loved that smirk.
Yeah, the whole fact that there was a vote without Leia, the leader of the Defense Council, is just... I don't understand how that can happen.
She's busy. She's a busy lady. And she deserves a break whenever she wants one after everything she's done.
But it just it does just seem like convenient writing of like, oh, Leia didn't know about the vote, but she's the leader of the Defense Council and she'll just swoop in and save the day later. I'm like, it's fine. But it just seems like a very roundabout way to cause drama.
Yeah.
Sweet Feet Pete, thank you for another one. In Tales, we see Barris sitting in her cell during Order 66. Oh, like this is a speculative thing. And then the doors open, Fox shoots her, and then she dies. Episode is over, 5-minute tops.
Oh, I don't think Filoni would do that or allow that to happen.
I think he has more ideas than just how she dies. But we'll see.
After her last little bit in Clone Wars, I hope she gets some sort of redemption arc or something. Dylan San Filippo. Filippo? I am losing it.
I like the way that you giggle in the middle of trying to read.
Sorry. I'm sorry, Dylan. Ezra really giving a quote, I have the power of God and anime on my side.
I'm not familiar enough with anime to have recognized how anime that was, but we do know our Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is in the same vein.
Yeah. that does give off big Ezra vibes.
Yeah. Ice, thanks for another one. I know Mon's heart is in the right place, and I liked her interaction with Hera at the end. Overall, I just like this more balanced portrayal of the New Republic. I mean, I've been feeling maybe I've just been projecting my own balance on it the whole time because I know how Mon Mothma really is, and she has to put on a face on some of those hollows, but yeah, getting to see it in this hearing was more satisfying.
Maxwell Sachs Shin redemption arc. I hope so. We've talked about it at length at this point, but this episode really solidified my desire to see her go with the good guys. Because I think for her especially, like her having Ahsoka and Sabine to teach her just how to live a better life, I think would be really good for her.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure Balin's been filling her with a bunch of nonsense.
We've been kind of hoping for it this whole time. I think it'll happen. It might not happen in episode 8. It could be a more drawn out thing. That's kind of how it was for Mara Jade. And again, I might be making connections there that don't fit in the long run, but if she is a Mara Jade style character, then it could be something where she is reluctantly working with the heroes for a time and eventually is like, you know what? I am on your side. Recio Matt, thank you for the next one. Weren't there Royal Guards and Death Troopers on the Chimera? I'd love to see their Night Trooper variants. That would be cool. I don't remember if Death Troopers were there. Definitely Royal Guards. I mean, it would make sense. Thrawn had Death Troopers around him often, so it would make sense that there would be some. That they may have been killed off in the past 10 years. I wonder if the Royal Guards would put like white fabric around instead of the red, just to keep that same contrast, but not be covered in red. Even more.
I feel like maybe you could say that the Royal Guard and the Death Troopers were a little more on the front lines, so they all got taken out, and all that was left was stormtroopers. I think they wanted to just have it look a little more uniform.
Yeah, just keep it a little more simple.
Mm-hmm. Star Orange 36. Why didn't Ezra want Saber? could it ignite a different color? Maybe he's using a little dark side. Love Amon's portrayal. I think he just, and again, we've talked about this a lot. I think he just was saying like, I've been without my lightsaber for 10 years. I don't need it. The Force is my ally. I know how to wield it. I'm good.
Yeah. Well, okay. So lightsabers in canon don't just change color willy-nilly. They do in the excellent short Ninth Jedi and Star Wars Visions, but I don't think Ezra's using the dark side at all. Like he has been very much about the defense of these peaceful, notey people. Like I didn't get any dark side vibes from him, period. Like I'm just seeing Jedi vibes.
Mm-hmm. Although you did say you thought Balin's saber looked more red. Is
I
that
think I was just
possible?
wrong. I know.
What?
I know. Don't make a big deal out of it. It's never happened before. I certainly didn't go all in on the Night Troopers or Zombies theory last week. It just, I guess, against the sky looked a little more red than I thought it had been. But watching it again 2 more times, I was like, I think it's still that same reddish orange.
Mm.
Catherine O'Leary, thank you for the next one. Alex, are you gonna get the Balin Skull Black Series figure? It would look nice alongside Cobb Vanth. Maybe. I have in this, my office is a disaster, but I have the Cad Bane Cobb Vanth behind me unopened. I need to actually get the Black Series that I have ordered and open them up and put them out.
Cobb Vanth or Cad Bane?
Oh, it's like a Cad Bane Cobb Vanth double pack.
That's right. I forgot about that.
But yeah, Balin is one I would not mind having.
We were never big collectors of the Black Series stuff until, I mean, it's usually just the characters that we're really, really attached to is the ones that we'll get. So that is a possibility for Balin.
He's got competition with Ezra now.
Yeah.
Balin has been my favorite part consistently throughout this whole show, but Ezra is really, really great.
Ice has another super chat. Can we talk for a minute about how stacked the cast is for this episode? Our regular 7, Lars, Iman, Genevieve, Paul, Anthony, and Hayden, stellar. Yeah, we had all the big hits.
It's going to be wild going into Filoni's movie, which I assume is going to be kind of like this, of just a ton of Star Wars characters from over all the years of storytelling, all on screen together. That's going to be fun.
Mm-hmm. Also, you pointed out Paul's face when he was talking to 3PO, and he just had like a giant smile on his face.
I'm pretty sure they just happened to catch his pure joy.
He didn't realize they were filming.
Yeah, but he is like, Paul gets to talk to 3PO, and it's just the biggest smile.
Mm-hmm. That checks out. I see Hilo's tail back there. He's like, are you guys done yet?
Gary Laird, thanks for the next one. Sorry, late to the chat. Filoni has apparently said not everyone gets home from Peridia. If true, who do you think doesn't get back to the main galaxy? Balin.
Balin.
That's my
Should
one
be
guess.
Balin. He wants it so bad, he can stay there.
I haven't seen any interviews. I haven't seen any of the whatever Filoni apparently said. I haven't seen it. So I'm not going to put any stock into it. I'm just going to wait and watch and see what happens. But if I had to guess, Balin will stay behind.
My theory so far has been that maybe at the end of the finale, Thrawn and Morgan Elsbeth leave on their ships, and the rest of them are kind of stranded there. And then we don't find out what happens till season 2.
I really hope they get home. Like, I want everyone away from Peridia by the end of this, but it took them forever to get to Peridia, so maybe they won't. But I would prefer that we just, okay, we went to the galaxy, we're back from the galaxy.
Mm-hmm. I like this question from Bones McCoy. Mollie, how does the Mothma drip compare to Andor? Well, I love everything that Mon Mothma wears. She's still got the sick, like shoulder to shoulder medallion with the chains. I know that's like her homeworld thing, Chandrila, right?
Uh-huh.
But she's in her cozy era. She's I said it a million times. She's done enough She's worn the sexy outfits and looked amazing. Now she just deserves to be comfy cozy. She's in her like grandma cottage chic little cardigan era.
It's been 15 years since Andor at this point. But I know she doesn't look it. She still looks exactly the same age.
Because she's got that skin care.
If she wants to be cozy, let her be cozy.
Yeah.
But I think I prefer the looks from Andor personally. Not that you didn't ask me.
Iconic.
I'm no drip expert.
Iconic looks either way.
Dorwin, thank you for the next question. Took me a second to decipher what this means, but only 3 great mothers awake because the Force is too weak. Is there a Force eater on Peridia?
Is that what Abeloth is?
No, I think they're talking about like the Nameless.
Oh, okay.
Or that's what I'm going with, Eater of the Force. Did Abeloth have that nickname? I can't
remember.
84 years. But I think it's just that they're the only ones left. The fact that they're emptying out the catacombs, I don't think it's because everyone else is asleep. I think they are genuinely dead.
Yeah. I also wonder, I brought this up earlier, because we haven't seen the Great Mothers use any of the classic Green Night Sister magic. They've only had their little magic balls, for lack of a better word. I'm like, maybe they're different. Maybe they can see the future and use their magic balls, and that's it. And just be a little creepy.
We're just a little spooky. Maybe.
I don't know. Andrew Haley has the next one. Hello there. I'm a huge fan of your work.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thanks, Andrew.
Welcome to the chat. Elliot Finn, namer of this show, is in the chat. Thanks so much for the next super chat. Ezra is the ultimate Jedi, calm, confident, and completely in tune with nature. Fighting without a lightsaber suits him so well, Kanan would be proud. He is very, very quickly becoming my favorite aspect of this show.
Mm-hmm.
I was not expecting to be so in love with live action Ezra.
I wasn't either, but he's doing it for me. And I agree, fighting without a lightsaber suits him, and I do think Kanan would be proud.
It's great.
Ice with another couple super chats here. I really liked Ahsoka's training scene and learning Anakin made recordings for her that she still has. It made me emotional when she said he was a good master, and even Huyang acknowledging it too. She's fought Grievous, Ventress, Maul. Oh, I see. And I liked the reference where he lists off the enemies Ahsoka may have to face: Count Dooku, Grievous, Asajj. That's fun since Dooku is the only major prequel trilogy villain Ahsoka ever faced.
Never faced.
She's fought Grievous, Ventress, Maul, and even Sidious, but never even met Dooku, despite taking part in some battles. Her great grandmaster.
Yeah, the Asajj Ventress call out was super fun. Like that's the I think the first live action mention of her. I know our friend Brian was really, really excited about it.
Yeah. A lot of fans of just a name drop. That's all they need.
I mean, I was excited that Zeb got a name drop. I've been waiting. He's important.
He is important.
He's just expensive to render.
Yeah, they blew all their money on that one Zeb in Mando.
Goodwill 144, thank you for the next super chat. With Stig leaving Respawn, the Jedi games could use a bump for the third game. Tie-in plus live action Cal Marin Kata might be more likely than ever. I mean, I think that's definitely in the cards, having those characters be in live action, but I don't necessarily think it would happen because of Stig leaving Respawn. Like, I don't follow the production of most of the video games that I play. I don't know the game directors of most of the video games I play, but I know Stig because I cover Star Wars way too closely. So most people who play the Star Wars Jedi games are probably going to have no idea that the game director changed. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to make anything more or less likely.
Also, we've heard rumors that the third game has been in talks for a while. So
What's his face? Cameron Monaghan this past week, like straight up said, we're working on it.
so Stig may have put out what he wanted for the game before he left and like given them kind of an outline to go by. We don't know the details.
Yeah.
Alexander has the next one. As a big anime fan, this show has a strong anime feel to it, probably because of Filoni's animation background and all the Japanese influences. Yes.
A lot of anime talk with Ezra's force fighting this week.
Definitely.
Ken Bloom, hey, thanks for the super chat. Stop gatekeeping the world between worlds, Alex. I'm not gatekeeping it. I'm just explaining how it works.
Well, your name isn't Filoni, so how are we supposed to know you're right?
Because I'm always right, except for the zombie thing and whatever I got wrong earlier, like 2 minutes ago.
That's fair enough. Another super chat from Imp Simp. Where's Thrawn's Death Troopers? No TIE Defenders. So we talked about the Death Troopers already. I know you're upset that there are not any TIE Defenders. Tell us about that.
Well, they didn't go into full production. The factory was blown up. He may have only had a handful, and Scaris lost it. I mean, he got blown up in the Battle of Lothal, so I think he might just not have any. I would love to see them, but I'm letting go of that right now. Maybe when he gets back to the Imperial Remnant, priority number 1, we're gonna actually make TIE Defenders, y'all. That's what he's gonna say. No more Death Stars, no more super weapons. Make me my TIE Defenders. So my fingers are crossed that we still get to see them, but I don't think there are any left on the Chimera.
I for once, I'm like, okay, yes, I think we should see them. So I hope that happens.
I won you over.
At this point, when I actually think we're not ever going to see them, I'm like, yeah, sure, let's get them in here.
Yeah, sure. You're just appeasing me. Thanks for another super chat, Tim Sim. True that Rebels is there, but sadly, there's still some who don't regard animation as highly as live action. That is true, but I'm glad that there is a show that is catering to the people who do regard the animation as highly as live action.
I mean, it's okay that people are wrong.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
I know.
People just like different things.
They are wrong.
We'll never be able to convince everyone that some some animation is just as good, if not better, than live action stuff.
Yeah. That's exactly why George Lucas wanted to do the Clone Wars as an animated show, because he's like, I just know I can do more of what I want to accomplish animated instead of live action. So,
I mean, I did not go into Ahsoka thinking I would like it better than Rebels, and I still don't think that.
Yeah, I mean, Rebels, I think, means a lot to us because it really pulled us into Star Wars animation. Like, I used to look at Star Wars cartoons and be like, not for me. And there's another time I was wrong, because I love it. And Star Wars at this point, it's getting closer and closer, but just minute to minute, I think there is more animated Star Wars content than there is live action. So if people are ignoring that, that's on them.
It's true. Trey Play, thanks for the next one. I love the content you guys put out, and I've been a weekly watcher, but first comment. I wonder, though, how do y'all want the season to wrap up?
Oh.
Thanks
for your first comment.
I want to know what Balin's up to. Please don't leave us on a cliffhanger for that. Like, we gotta find something out about his motivations. I want to see Sabine use the Force. I want there to be hope that they can get back, but at this point, I'm not fully convinced that they're going to get off Peridia in the finale. Other than that, I don't know. Zeb can show up, that'd be great, but I don't have to have it.
Let's see. My hopes are first and foremost that we figure out what's going on with Balin and what he wants. Second, I really want Thrawn to actually be able to fight against the New Republic. We might not get that. Like I said before, I'm mentally preparing myself for that to be at a later date. It will definitely happen. I would just like to see it soon. I hope they get home from Peridia. I don't want them to be stuck there. And I want like a full Rebels reunion where I think that would be kind of a nice way to end things, with Thrawn coming back. And yes, things are looking dark, but Ezra's home. The family is reunited. Like, we stopped him once before, we can stop him again. That kind of feeling. Little bit of a hopeful note at the end. That'd be nice.
Mm-hmm.
Ice, thank you for another. Oh, you took it away.
Oh, I was trying to get rid of the last one.
Yeah, I can read it. I loved Ezra's reaction to Sabine being trained. Sabine's face was priceless. Then he was like, "No, it makes sense. Nice save, Ezra. 10 out of 10 banter." Yeah, I thought that was a funny reaction. I mean, it's kind of the reaction we all had when we first learned about that. So I thought that was good.
Mm-hmm. Sweet Feet Pete, I don't think it's a hickey. she got shot like a lot. Maybe that's like a just like a graze mark of a blaster.
Yeah, it's not a hickey.
It's definitely not a hickey.
Miranda here, thank you. Leia is the defense council leader, not a Senate council leader, and in real life votes can happen without senators present. There's just one less party member to help secure a majority. Yeah, but I think, what's his face, Ziono, I think what they were implying is that there was a defense council vote without Leia around. And that's what I got out of that scene, but maybe I was wrong.
One less party member. I don't know how councils work. Not Senate council leader. Real life votes can happen. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like she's not normally there.
I think she probably is normally there, and that's why she was like, "What do you mean you had a vote without me?"
Maybe.
I think Ziono did something stupid.
Was there an empty seat?
We didn't see the vote happen. That was all off screen. Calm like a bomb, thanks for the next one. It seems to me the more someone understands real world politics, the more forgiving they are of the New Republic. It feels very much like real world politics. And that's probably why people get so frustrated with it, because it is an unfortunate real cycle.
Yeah, that makes sense. 10 Man, thanks for the next super chat. I see too many fan theories wanting Ezra to get Kanan's saber from Thrawn when it's in Lothal's ocean. Do people forget Price never gave it to Thrawn?
Oh, did it blow up on the thing? I don't really remember what happened to it, but yeah. Oh, yeah, she did have it. And then I guess it blew up on the station.
Yeah.
I don't know. Jason has Kanan's pauldron. Like, maybe some stuff was recovered.
Maybe he had extras of the pauldron.
Maybe, yeah. He had that same outfit hung up a lot.
Mm.
We have Josh. Thank you for becoming a new member of the Biggs Mega Fans. And John Smith with another question. Could they retcon old Daka is coming from Peridia? Sure. I mean, she was a very old Dathomirian Night Sister, so maybe she was originally from Peridia. We don't know. We don't even know how old she was. She's like the super old Night Sister that Mother Talzin.
Oh, yeah. The like super decrepit one.
Uh-huh. She's like, hey, we need to raise all the zombies. And
Yeah.
old Daka's like, I got you.
She's like, let's do it.
Finally.
That would be funny. Mr. Nostalgia, thank you for the next super chat. Does Leia's involvement in the Senate now play into the plot of the Bloodlines book? Keep up the great content. You're always upbeat and positive. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And I think so. I mean, I'm seeing it. We're still years and years away from Bloodline and that time period, but I am seeing the same kind of New Republic struggles happening. Yeah, I think so.
I haven't read Bloodlines.
It's
sadly.
been, when did that come out? 2017. So it's been like 6 years since I've read it, but that I remember her own frustrations with the New Republic Senate and how it kind of split down the middle. And Ziono definitely seems like a political opponent that feels consistent with the book. I think they were centrists. That was one of the political parties. Alexander, thanks for the next one. There's a canon animation short from like 5 years ago where Ahsoka is teaching Ezra how to fight without his lightsaber. Pretty cool. I think it's one of the Forces of Destiny shorts.
Wait, Ahsoka's teaching Ezra in Forces of Destiny?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember that. I have to go back and look that.
But yeah, I think they're on Adelon and she teaches Ezra a little bit. They have a little training moment.
I like that.
And we've got a handful of super chats from Ice here that we're gonna go through. Thank you, Ice. The minefield shocked me. I wonder how they got that set up so quickly. That was a lot of mines. Thrawn really hates Purgil confirmed. I'm sure he does. And I guess we don't know how long it took. We don't know exactly how long we went from the Night Sister saying Ahsoka was on the way to her actually appearing. His destroy with prejudice line last week wasn't just emphasizing to Morgan to be thorough. He was out for Star Whale blood, and I liked/hated it.
That was his version of Kylo Ren's shoot that ship out of the sky.
Yeah, but Thrawn is just so calm and collected. So basically, instead, just destroy it with prejudice.
Yeah. I want to see him lose his cool at least once before he dies.
Yeah, we've only seen it once in Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah.
I also liked Thrawn's reaction to learning Anakin was Ahsoka's master. You could feel the recognition if you're aware that he knows Anakin and Vader, but it also feels like a realization, and I enjoyed that. I read it because I've read all the books and stuff, but I definitely saw it as like oh, I know that name. And the fact that he knew who Baylan Skoll was in the previous episode and that he was a general, like, I think he has knowledge of the Clone Wars, whether or not he has met every Jedi.
Yeah.
I saw the passage from Alliances recently, and I think Padme mentions her first name to Thrawn, but not her full name, so it actually makes sense that he may not connect Ahsoka Tano to Anakin without context. I looked that up this morning, and Padme says Ahsoka's name kind of in passing to Thrawn, and that was 20, 30 years ago.
Oof.
I did my math wrong in a video earlier, but yeah, it was 30 years ago.
He's got a good memory, but not that good.
Yeah, like a name he heard once in passing from Padme about like some tactic that he was distracted with. It's fine that he didn't remember it.
Yeah.
Really felt like he was connecting the dots in his head when he saw her file, and I really enjoyed seeing him realize and adjust the plan. Classic Thrawn. I was happy with how his presentation was. That's
You
not what I'm
approved.
trying. Yeah, he was good. My brain's failing too. Thrawn good. This all
Thrawn
good.
good.
Me like.
He did a good job at like not showing all of his cards, but also showing that he knows what's up.
And I like seeing him, yes, learn and adjust. And get some new information, be like, okay, I know how to combat this. And it's not by just throwing a bunch of ships at it.
Yeah.
He
Right.
destroyed that rule with prejudice. Well, that's like almost exactly a 3-hour stream. That's great because I'm hungry.
Yeah.
We're gonna go wrap it up and eat. Yeah, we have a plan to stream a Lego build tomorrow, or at least Mollie's gonna build, because you're gonna start a new set, right?
I forgot.
You forget?
Do we have a thumbnail for that yet?
I got a thumbnail and everything.
Yes, we're gonna do a Lego build tomorrow.
We're starting our Halloween build, which is not Star Wars, but Mollie's very excited about it. I am too. I'm excited to see.
You can barely even really see the Legos when we're building them, so there's that.
Yeah.
But we're gonna go get some dinner. We're gonna, if we get any more super chats before we actually end the stream, we're going to read them on tomorrow's stream.
I see one from Zoralens actually, and I just say, welcome to the chat. We will read it tomorrow because it's a High Republic question anyway. So we will start tomorrow's stream with that question.
Yeah, but thank you all so much for hanging in for 3 hours. I think we've been going around 3.5, but we haven't had dinner before the stream today, so we need to go do that.
So yeah, thank you all again, and have a great rest of your night.
Yeah, bye everybody.